Tonight's top stories: DeSantis unveils a new Florida map, Iran delays talks, Trump attacks Kimmel, and a win for Texas. Tonight's top stories: DeSantis unveils a new Florida map, Iran delays talks, Trump attacks Kimmel, and a win for Texas.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
What you say about my baby mama, little Jimmy? You ever talk about my baby mama again, I'ma blast your ass.
Okay, I see. You guys want to play rough? You point that little finger at me and say I'm the bad guy. Okay then, we'll say cello to my little friend. We'll say cello to my little friend!
What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? That's right, Jimmy Kimmel is Jimmy Scrimmel, and he's going go Bo Bimmel for Jimmy Kimmel. What's up, everybody? How you doing? I'm Jim. I'm here to tell you some news. Yep. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Let's see who's here tonight. What do we got going on? Got a bunch of people in the chat. We got Rodney's here. What's up, Rodney? Good to see you. I wonder where I can get some news. You're going to get some here. Brian's here. 2 more hours and I can go home. Well, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Isn't that the saying? Karen, what's up? How's it going? Jonathan Marcus, great to see you. Good evening, everybody. Okay. Man, a lot of stuff going on in the chat, man. I was just looking at all these people talking. Wow. None of your business is here, too. What's up? How you doing, buddy? Great to see you. How's it going? I do have one other video. Hey, H.J. Remy, great to see you. Kofi, what's up, buddy? Awesome having you here. Nephilah, always happy to see you, Jim. Make my day better. I'm going to try. Kimmel should have been put away a long time ago. Yeah, if they don't, here's the thing. If they don't fire him for this, after the last thing that happened, you know, I have a feeling maybe, you know, I don't see how they get away. I don't see how he gets away with it this time. I really don't. I don't see how he gets away with it. I really don't. But anyway, you're hungry? Oh, Lynn P, what's up? Great to see you. Well, SWA, great to see you. I don't know. I just had some potato skins, you know, TGI Fridays tater skins. They were pretty good. Some nice sour cream on them. They were tasty. Hey, the Big Harry's here, present and accounted for. That's awesome. Thanks for being here. Did I pin? I did not pin. I did not pin in the chat. What do you know? I did not pin a message. So it's now pinned in the chat, the message that has the link for the goal. And I didn't do a goal even on YouTube, so I got to do that. Man, I'm screwing up. We'll do a 2-hour goal. Yeah. And for every $100 that comes in across all platforms, YouTube Super Chats, Rumble Rants, gifted memberships, becoming a member on YouTube or Rumble. Also, Cash App, PayPal, Coffee, Ko-Fi, and Super Tips, along with Locals coins and Kick and Twitch memberships. We add it all up when we hit 100. We activate another hour. We get for every 100 that comes in, we add an extra hour. And then when we hit $50, we activate Bella Vision for the evening. There's Bella. She's just chilling. The Bella girl is chillinating. There she is, just chilling, Bella. Super tips, not tits, tips. AI Tube is getting more retarded every day. Dude, you know what? YouTube is doing, hey, Caper, how you doing? Casper, how's it going? They're doing, Kelly, good to see you. They're doing something where they're hitting every channel, just about. Almost every channel has been getting hit and demonetized. And I'm starting to wonder if maybe, like, I don't know. I suspect there's multiple facets to why, and it keeps going on, and they know they're wrong. Did you enjoy the Tweakers videos? There's many more. I think you sent it to me on X, right? You love the Bella girl. Yeah. So there's Bella. We'll take Bella down for a second. I think what they're doing, like YouTube has Alphabet, Google has whole divisions working on creating AI videos, like all these documentaries and stuff that they're just using AI to crank them out. So I don't know if they're trying, like they want to be the only people getting paid. But then also I'm wondering, like, when they demonetized everybody, they're doing it during the person's, like right before the person's payout's going to come. So then they delay the payout. This is the first time you've caught up to live in under 10 minutes. Oh, well, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. We just started because I started an hour late today because, I don't know, I just figured I would start an hour late to see how it works. But anyways, so I think they're purposely holding the money because they get to keep it for an extra month. And from everything I can gather, this demonetization has happened to hundreds of thousands of channels. Like pretty much every channel, people, it's just nonstop, constant, nonstop. So I think maybe they're purposely doing it because they get to hold all that money that they should have paid out for an extra month. That can add up to a lot of interest, in my opinion. But anyway, I got a second little video here, which I thought everyone would like to see. Second little thing here. It's going to show the Cole Thomas Allen, the guy who tried to kill the president the other night. It's going to show him in his new jail cell. So why don't we check that out?
Hey, who's your Diddy, huh? Tell me who your Diddy is, my beautiful light-skinned caramel tapioca cream jelly-filled assassin.
6'7", Ah, damn it. Ha ha ha, mi amigo, who lose? Hey, not cool, man. Just luck, man. One more roll.
6'7",
Ha ha ha, mi amigo, who lose?
Okay, you little caramel cream cheese mixed with Nutella chocolate melted in a blended cappuccino. Go get me more of that good shit. You got it, man. More good shit coming right up. I just want to be nice and oily. Oh, shit. I heard you got that good. I got a little dance for you. Yo, man, you got any more of that good baby oil, man? I'll suck your... I need that good baby oil. Yo, man, you get any more that good baby oil, man? Baby oil.
They might fuck it up.
I'll suck your... I'll lick your... I'll suck your dick. Yo, man, you get any more that good baby oil, man? I'll suck your... Got good. Yo, man, you get any more that good baby oil, man? I'll suck your and man. This way don't do it. You get any more that good baby oil, man? I'll suck your man. Oh, yeah, get up. Let me see how them braids looking. Do a little turn for Diddy, babe. All right, Diddy, check it out. Yeah, that's it. Looking good, man.
Time for a lap dancing, mate. Oh, yeah? Bring it on. Feel that rhythm, baby?
All right, this is getting a little weird, right? It's a little weird. I think it's a little weird.
Don't stop now.
Damn, that's hot. You ready for this, big man? Time to get you all up. Well, what the
All right, yeah, that's a little too weird for me. I don't know. Diddy and Nick's baby oil refinery. Yeah, it's a little weird for me. I don't know. I watched some of it at first. I thought it was funny, and then I started getting all weird, like a bunch of stuff that bunch of stuff that I don't know, man. I just had to question it. So everybody, how's it going? I did start the goal up. We did get rolling. So let's just jump right into the first news story of the day. You guys saw the headline, right? How you guys like those headlines, the new headlines, it's gross. Wasn't that gross? I'm not into it. Yeah. I know that was a little. Yeah. Well, you got your first herb vaporizer. Love it so far. So yeah, they look white to you. Okay. Well, they could be, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, I apologize. I might have to cut that out later. So, hey, Brenda, what's up? Not your best video. Yeah, I'll say that was a little. That was almost as bad as the puking one when they were all puking the other one, and when people kept throwing up. I was like, what's going on with the people throwing up? But anyway, the U.S. Supreme Court has struck down a lower court ruling saying that Texas's new congressional maps can go into effect. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, I know some people think it's a good thing, but I wonder if they might have cut it a little too close. What's up, Kimberly? How you doing? Raiders for life. Rodney, what's up? Yeah. Jay Schwartz, how you doing? So they cited their December 2025 opinion striking down a different legal challenge to the map. Probably a gag on the Goonies. Maybe. Or Stand By Me. Could be. Yeah, so let's see here.
Sean, what a big day this is for the GOP. As you point out, the High Court clearing the way for Texas's new congressional map that really could help the Republicans.
How's the sound? Is it loud enough?
As many as 5 more seats in the House come the midterm elections in 2026. Now, the High Court's unsigned order actually follows Texas's emergency request for the justices to pause a 3-judge panel's ruling, which previously tried to block the state's recently redrawn map. Now, in its decision to side with Texas, the High Court said that panel failed to honor the presumption of legislative good faith by construing ambiguous, direct, and circumstantial evidence against the legislature. The High Court also found that given the release of the panel's ruling right smack dab in the middle of Texas's candidate filing period, the lower court had improperly inserted itself into an active primary campaign, causing much confusion and upsetting the very delicate federal-state balance in elections. Bottom line, Sean, it's a win for the separation of powers. It's a win for the great state of Texas. And it ultimately could be a very, and I mean very big win for the GOP come the midterm elections in 2026. Back to you.
Wow. And just got a notification from Nana over there on the Cash App. Nana go ahead and says it's going to be Bella tonight. It's going to be Bella tonight thanks to Nana. Thank you, Nana. That means we're now just $75 away from an extra hour. Good volume? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nana. I got to go. Hold on. I got to take a second here because I got to open this up. I got to give her a heart. I got to give her a heart for the love. Thank you, Nana. Thank you so much, Nana. Thank you so much, Nana. Yes. Thanks for the bells, Nana. Bella is a big baby. Yeah, she is. She's a good girl. She's such a good girl. So yeah, so that means let's go Texas. Texas redistricting is constitutional, unlike Virginia's. That's right. So here's the story from a lovely lady called the Epoch Times. No problem, Nana. Thank you, Nana. You are the greatest. You're a #1 fan. Da-da. She's got a cute baby girl there too. Or maybe I don't know. It's a cute doggy, though. Very pretty. Very handsome. Supreme Court lifts lower court block on new Texas congressional maps. The ruling means a new map that favors Republicans will remain in place for the November congressional elections. Yes, thanks, Nana. On April 27th, they summarily reversed a lower court ruling that blocked Texas from implementing. That's Annabelle? Oh, Annabelle. Hey, you got Annabelle and I got Bella. Annabella. Yeah, Nana. That's awesome. So they summarily reversed the lower court ruling that blocked Texas from implementing the mid-decade redistricting. The High Court's decision, which means the map will be used in elections this November, took the form of an unsigned order in Abbott v. League of United Latin American Citizens. Why would the League of United Latin American Citizens? Like, Latin America is South America. You know, that's not America. That's not the USA. You hope the Virginia map is still blocked, though. From what I was gathering, it sounds like we might get to that story today. They had a hearing today about it. It didn't sound like the court was having it. It sounded like they were like, "What the hell are you guys doing? You did all this stuff and you weren't supposed to do." Like, they bypassed. It's supposed to be a 2/3 majority in both the houses before they could pass a constitutional amendment, but they redid something and changed it to say, no, we could just get without getting a 2/3 vote on it. They changed the rules to say that, no, they only need a majority 2 times to get it or something. And so it seems like it's not going to hold up because they didn't actually amend the Constitution correctly to change the rules to amend the Constitution is what it sounded like to me. So Justice Sotomayor, and Elena Kagan, and Ketanji, I don't know what a woman is, Brown Jackson, dissented. The 3 justices did not explain why they disagreed with the majority. The new ruling formalizes the Supreme Court's interim decision from December that upheld a redrawn election map and is expected to increase Republican representation in Texas's U.S. House delegation. Yep, cheaters gonna cheat. That's right. We're going to get to the story, too. Florida's going to go with their map. And, oh, buddy, does it look red? That's all I'll say about it at this point. The new order states the lower court order is being set aside for the reasons set forth in the December 2025 decision. In that ruling, 5 months ago, the Supreme Court said Texas made a strong showing that it would suffer irreparable harm if a federal district court's ruling were not stayed. The district court violated the Supreme Court's ruling in Republican National Committee v. Democrat National Committee, which held that lower federal courts should avoid altering election rules on the eve of an election. Yes, goodbye, Slavey Crockett. District court inserted itself into an active primary. This is what they did, and causing much confusion, upsetting the delicate federal-state balance in elections. That's what the majority wrote. In a concurring opinion, Alito wrote that Texas needs certainty on which map will govern the 2026 midterm elections. The district court failed to apply the correct legal standard as set out clearly in our own case law. You're surprised they are passing a bill that just says no squad members may be reelected? Well, Casper, I mean, I mean, the squad members have done a pretty good job themselves of getting themselves voted out of office. Look at Cory Bush. What was the other guy's name? The guy who pulled the fire alarm. I can't even remember his name. Bowman, right? And then now this. I mean, it's just they're. Yeah. Kagan wrote in the order from December 2025 that Texas largely divided its citizens along racial lines to create its new pro-Republican House map. Wait a minute. No. They didn't divide it along racial lines. I mean, this is ridiculous. The maps were drawn to racially preference certain races, and it's ridiculous. The majority today loses sight of its proper role, ensuring that many Texas citizens, for no good reason, will be placed in electoral districts because of their race. That's the opposite. That's the exact opposite of what happened. Has nothing to do with race. Nothing at all. Previously, a 3-judge panel for the Western District of Texas held that the state may not use the new map because substantial evidence shows Texas racially gerrymandered the map. They did not. They did not racially gerrymander the map. The map was previously racially gerrymandered. They keep refilling their numbers with other adults. Yeah, well, that'll happen. And it said that the majority opinion in that case said they were likely to prove at trial that Texas racially gerrymandered the map. That's the opposite. Hey, what's up, Derek? Awesome seeing you tonight. Gerrymandering refers to the manipulation of electoral district boundaries to benefit a particular party or constituency. Oh, you mean like Illinois has done for years, like Illinois did to get rid of Adam Kinzinger and all those other people? The way that Illinois drew like tentacles coming out of Cook County to just encompass other areas, or like, Massachusetts, Delaware, New York, Rhode Island, Vermont, Maine. You keep going down the list. You know, it's odd if you look at the, you know, like the northeast of the United States, like all the northeastern states. What you want to, you know, like the, you know, whatever you want to call it, the Eastern Seaboard. Those states are all gerrymandered like to the hilt. Yeah, like Virginia's new map. Yeah, like Virginia's new map. You know, when 45%, like 45% of the people that vote in your state are going to have zero representation. That's, yeah, that's a problem. But hey, if that's a game you just want to play, like California was already severely gerrymandered, and then they're going to gerrymander them some more. So it said Circuit Judge Jerry E. Smith, who sat on a panel, filed a strongly worded dissenting opinion describing the ruling as the most blatant exercise of judicial activism he had ever witnessed. Hey, sweet daydreams, what's up? So great to see you. Love Bella and the cat. Texas argued in the papers it filed with the Supreme Court that the district court erred when it failed to honor a required legal presumption that the state legislature acted in good faith and failed to draw an adverse inference from the fact that those challenging the map had not presented an alternative proposed map. The state said the district court's ruling rests on the premise that Republican-controlled legislature chose not to adopt a map that maximized achievement of political goals, but instead adopted a map that sacrificed political opportunity in favor of racial discrimination in a highly polarized political environment with razor-thin Republican majorities. Like, so they didn't. So they're claiming that they didn't adopt a map that maximized political goals. What? Because I guess there was a map that was more like way more politically advantageous, but they didn't go with it. Yeah, all districts should be as close to a square shape as possible. I agree wholeheartedly. I believe that each district should consist of about 70,000, maybe 100. Let's say 100. Let's just go around an even number. 100,000 voters per congressional district is what it should be. We would not have any of these problems. I think the country would function way better if we had like 4,000 representatives in the House. Just saying. Brian says, I have you playing inside a 1/6 pan. You said gerrymandering. Everyone looked up at me. I'm just like listening at work. Oh, okay. All right. You're at work in a kitchen and it's in a pan. Not the best to have you broadcasting at work. I will try to, Brian, I will be work friendly. You know, this show will not be NSFW. This will be SFW, safe for work. You know, that or you'll convert them all. Yeah, well. The lead respondent, the League of United Latin American Citizens, asked the Supreme Court to hold off adjudicating the case until the evidence gathering process known as discovery and a trial has been completed. In an alternative, the group asked the nation's court in a document filed March 19th to affirm the preliminary injunction. Connecticut has it too. All the burbs are sucked into the city slime. Well, that's not good. That's not good. That's terrible. That's a bad. That's a bad. Tweaker geographic. Okay, I see it now. And so, let's see. So the guy who represents them, the Mexican American Legal Defense and Education Fund. Today's Supreme Court decision has no practical impact because the 2026 elections were already going forward using these bad lines. They look forward to work to challenge the unconstitutional map in the future. Ken Paxton did not respond by publication time to a request for comments. So Ken Paxton says, no, I don't have time for that. I ain't got no time for that. Massive win for the GOP. Supreme Court reverses lower court block. Greenlights new congressional map that will deliver up to 5 extra Republican House seats in 2026. Like, I mean, I'm not 100% sure that it's going to deliver 5. You know, I have a feeling it might not be that many. Just saying. Just saying. How's everybody doing tonight? Wow. We're off to a very slow start tonight. This is odd. Somebody out there streaming? Okie dokie smoky. Bueno. Good? Okay. I'm hanging in. I hope you're well. The audience, too. Well, that's awesome. Thank you. So basically, same thing. Sotomayor, same story here. Says the state legislature drew the maps in 2021 that largely held up under legal challenge. However, the summer of 2025, Republican leaders urged on by Trump and Greg Abbott convened a special. Now, see, this isn't true. They're lying. Was outside getting air, lost track of time. Well, Gundam Zig, awesome to have you here. You lurk a lot, don't interact much. That's fine. You're here, Catherine K. Great to see you. This is a lie. They did this because of the case that said that these maps were unconstitutional, that they couldn't have these, like coalition. I think they're called coalition maps or something like that, where you have like multiple minorities and you cram them together to create one minority district. I believe the Supreme Court said that's not the way the law is written. So the plan was explicitly designed to flip several Democrat-held districts by strategically adjusting the boundaries while preserving or enhancing Republican majorities. Sorry, you're sleepy from being up at 5 a.m. from tornado sirens. Oh my God, are you okay, American Dreamer? Is everything all right? No damage, I hope. Everybody's good. Tornadoes are not, tornadoes are not to mess with. They're like, tornadoes are like Wu-Tang Clan. They ain't nothing to uff with. I feel like racial lines should be illegal based on the 14th Amendment. Yes, well, that's the thing is that they were correcting the racial lines that existed. That's what they did. They took away the racial boundaries and just made boundaries. Sirens for high winds. Oh, that's brutal. So supporters describe it as a lawful exercise of partisan advantage, which the Supreme Court's previously ruled is permissible under the Constitution. Leftist groups immediately sued, arguing the map constituted racial gerrymandering. The districts were already racial gerrymandering. So if you undo, that's a question. Like if you undo racial gerrymandering, does that mean you're racially gerrymandering by undoing the racial gerrymander? Or is it, is that like the chicken or the egg, which came first? Is it okay because it's already existed for it to be racially gerrymandered? But if you say, hey, well, this is illegal, we can't do this. Because I believe it was the DOJ that sent the letter saying, hey, these districts don't comply. Yes, Harmeet notified them that their districts did not comply with the new ruling that came down. Third time this year. Nice to see everyone. That's awesome. You have to undo current racial gerrymandering with future gerrymandering. That sounds like Marxist propaganda. Well, here's the thing, Casper. I would be 100% fine with nobody choosing the lines, with it just being like a set pattern that everyone has to follow. You start in the top left corner and you work your way and expand it like a circle, expand it like just straight lines, just like expand it straight lines until you get a district. And then you move to the right and do the same thing. Move to the right, and then you drop, you know what I mean? And then you keep doing the same thing, and you just create districts that are just squares or circles, some kind of shapes that are recognizable. Like you have like a rule, you can't have any more than 6 sides or 7 sides or something like that. That way you can't have some weird shape. I'm with you. Make it a square, fit 100,000 each grid space, 100%. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what should happen. That's the easiest way to solve this, seriously. And we would never, honestly, I think why parties decide the lines. That's what I'm saying. The parties shouldn't decide the lines, I don't think. I think it should just be, every congressional district should have at least 2 straight lines in them. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Something like, yeah, you could have like 2 straight lines and then the other ones could have like, but they shouldn't be able to have like all these, like it should just be like, nope, that's it, straight line, like straight line, that's it within counties. Yeah, something. Yeah, like you shouldn't be able to split a county up into multiple districts if there's enough people in that county for a single district. You know what I'm saying? Yes, numbers shall decide the lines. Yeah. They should work harder to fit 100,000 to a square grid. No nonsense. Yeah, well, they have to, they have to adjust that statute because they've been changing it to, like, they put a cap and said that there's only, instead of having, we do not have representation anymore in Congress. We really don't. There are some districts that have 1 million people per district. Like, how can one congressperson represent 1 million people? They can't. They can't do it. It's impossible. 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 In November, the district court ruled the ruling blocking the map. It got overturned. Texas officials, led by Paxton, filed an emergency application. Alito, who handles emergency matters from the Fifth Circuit, issued a temporary administrative stay that month. So the Supreme Court, in December, the Supreme Court extended the stay in a 6-3 decision. I think that's a great idea. Ensure that all counties are unified and fit them into the best fitting 100,000 capital. Yeah, it's simple. Like, we could do it all. Like a computer program could figure it all out. But I don't know if they trust computer programs to do it. Can't wash my hands and type. It cuts out rural votes. No, I don't think it cuts out rural votes. If you have, because you wouldn't. How would it cut out? Rural votes would vote as a pocket. You would have rural votes would be their own vote. You wouldn't be diluting rural votes with city votes because that's what they do now. They take city votes and they pull them out to the rural votes to cancel out the rural votes so that they don't get representation in the rural areas. That's all I'm saying. Like right now, the way the numbers are, the rural votes don't mean crap in a lot of states. They just completely canceled out. But if you had, like, say, 100,000 people, there would be a lot more congressmen representing, like, farmland, farm areas, rural areas, towns that, like, you have a town of, 10,000 people, and you're sharing a congressman with 990,000 people somewhere else. Yeah, if a state has 320,000 heads, they get 3 representatives. It would just be a grid. Pretty much. Pretty much. It is the same result, more Democrat seats. I don't think so. I don't think it would be more Democrat seats. And here's why. Because a lot of the Democrat seats cancel out the rural seats. When you think about it, a lot of these places like New York, the congressional districts in New York, if you look at some of these primaries that are won with 20,000 votes, when there's 800,000 people in the district and it's won by 20,000 votes, I'm in. I want to hear a Joe rant about it now. Well, I mean, I don't know how Joe feels about it. I never asked him. I know how I feel about it because I personally don't feel like the American people are getting representation. You don't. If you don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars disposable money laying around that you could give donations to Congress people, if you can't write a $7,500 check to your congressman for his election, or then you're not getting representation. That's the bottom line. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. Not the way it's supposed to be. I mean, when the country was founded, it was every 35,000 people had a congressman. 35,000 was the number in the Constitution. They changed it. So, I mean, I'm not saying we got to go to 35,000, but, 100,000, that's something we could do. I don't care how he really feels about it. I just like to hear him rant and how much he feels about. I think lobbying needs to be reworked for real. Well, just think about how much harder this would be, too, honestly. If there was, say, 3,500 Congress people, all right, how would lobbyists be able to do anything? You wouldn't be able, it would be so hard to lobby these people. It would get rid of a lot of stuff, I think. It would make lobbying be like, how are you going to lobby all these people? How are you going to get the money to lobby all these people? Like, you wouldn't be able to do it, I think. Shawn says, I agree with the sentiment, and maybe I'm misunderstanding the division. From what I understand, the city would be divided into more districts to fit. The city would be divided into more districts, but those would be strictly the city districts. Now what happens is the city, all right, they take the city and they move it to the rural areas, and they basically cancel out the rural votes. That's what happens in all states that have like the blue state. Like, look at, like, Illinois voted Republican all the time until, like, and then they just gerrymandered it so bad that now you can't, no one's you ain't going to win a statewide Republican election because the people just don't vote anymore because your vote means nothing. That's how you get people to stop voting in rural areas, is because they know their vote doesn't matter because it's canceled out by votes in the city. And then think about this. The areas that are controlled by the demon rats in the cities where they stuff the ballot box, they can only stuff it so far in each district. They can only stuff it so far. And then the rural districts would be large and less of them. Yes, but there would still be, I think you would still end up with more Republican representation because the way the districts would be divided, I think it would be more Republican representation. I just do. Because you would not have any Republican districts being canceled out by the Democrat ones. So I think it would be good, man. I really do. And I think it would change a lot of stuff too. I think it would change the way a lot of other people vote. It would probably change the Senate makeup. It would change a lot of things. Yeah, the cities have too much representation. They do. The cities have way too much representation. That's why you got to make it equal by people. That's it. Not to mention the cities, like they have, like a lot of times the cities, especially like you look at like Cook County, Chicago, like there's areas of the city that if they divided it like squares like that, there's area of cities that would vote Republican. There was a whole ward in Chicago. The whole West Lawn along Archer Avenue, the southwest side of Chicago, where all the police and firemen live, that voted Republican in the last election. Just saying. You think it would work in blue states and hurt red states, in your opinion? I don't know, man. I honestly don't. I don't know. I think it would just it would make people be more active. People pay more attention. And I think then you would have people go like, if people say, oh shit, I don't like this representation, I want to move here, you would have more people moving off of, you probably have people moving within states to basically to offset. I don't know. I guess I would say don't knock it till you tried it, maybe. Well, here we got DeSantis and Jeffries trade drabs over redistricting. Huh. Let's see. Is there going to be a commercial? Probably.
Ron DeSantis is putting his own congressional delegation in jeopardy, which probably shouldn't be surprising because all of them, as I understand it, can't stand the charismatically challenged.
Yes, that too. This is the thing that in my opinion, having these districts with these small numbers like this, with the 100,000 people per congressional district, we would have more than two parties. You would start to get actual libertarian people elected to Congress. You would get actual Green Party people. You would get other America First Party. We would have a whole bunch more parties in Congress, in my opinion. We wouldn't just have a two-party system anymore. I think it would be good, but that's what I think. Moving is difficult, especially for property market prices and mortgage rates. It is, but it is. But sometimes it gets better. Jeffrey was calling for political violence a few days ago. He's only softened up since. Actually, he didn't even soften up. He didn't soften up. He basically is saying the same shit.
Lame duck governor of Florida.
Hakeem Jeffries. Have you guys heard of him? He's threatening Florida. Oh, you do the redistrict. We're going to come down. We're going to get you guys all this stuff. Go ahead. Make my day. Bring it on.
Okay. We're going to watch it. The redistricting battle now shifting to Florida as Governor DeSantis has now called state lawmakers to Tallahassee for a special session next week. Let's talk about all of it with Republican Congressman from Florida, Greg Steube, because it could have an impact on that Florida delegation. Congressman, great to have you on the program today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So you just heard the back and forth, the fighting words between Leader Jeffries and the governor. And Jeffries is saying, look, the Republicans are taking a huge risk here. They could really lose out on this or putting their congressional delegation in jeopardy. You're saying it's going to happen. They're going to redistrict. But is this a fight that Republicans should start in Florida?
Yeah, I think we should have done it about 6 months ago. I know the governor wanted to wait till the Louisiana case decision from the U.S. Supreme Court came out. We still don't have that, but they should have done it a long time ago. I expect they will do it. I think you can easily pick up 2 to 3 seats. Florida is one of those states that grows by 1,100 people a day. So that the growth in those areas is important. And the basis of that Louisiana case is the racial gerrymandering. And we can look at that in Florida to determine whether that was done in previous maps before. So I fully expect the legislature and the governor to do that. It's the hypocrisy from Hakeem Jeffries is pretty thick when they gerrymandered Virginia and took away like 5 Republican seats in a state that only 45% are Republican, to say that a state like Florida that's overwhelmingly conservative can't redistrict as well.
Well, some of your colleagues are...
Where was that DeSantis when they were raiding Mar-a-Lago and doing all this shit and threatening Trump? DeSantis should have came out and said, you ain't coming in my state with that shit. You're still fussed over DeSantis run for president, but I'd support him for SCOTUS. Love you too, Jim. I knew a rural vote would strike a chord. Yeah, no, if you look at the districts the way that they're drawn, look at Illinois, look at New York, look at California, look at Virginia, what they're trying to do, look at all these places and look what they do. You see tentacles coming out of the urban centers to encapsulate all these rural areas. That's all I'm saying. You would get rid of that. And DeSantis should have waited till 2028. I'd have backed him. At this point, I'll back Marco Rubio for president before DeSantis. Marco Rubio is really Marco Rubio is my senator. I didn't like him. I thought he sucked as a senator. As Secretary of State, you couldn't ask for a better Secretary of State.
Are not as optimistic as you. In fact, Axios reports that there's a little bit of Republican buyer's remorse on this redistricting battle. One of them writes, this is Don Bacon, tells Axios, I think... Don
Bacon. You're going to use fucking Don Bacon, a guy who's not a Republican. Don Bacon is a Democrat that only claims to be a Republican because he's in Nebraska, and he couldn't win as a Democrat. But check out his voting record. Don Bacon votes with Democrats 70% of the time. 70% of the time. That's more than other mainstream Democrats do. It's crazy. Yes, Rubio has stepped up 100%. Don Bacon, the giant piece of shit, voted to impeach Trump. Yeah, Don Bacon. Yeah, he's not a Republican.
I think it might have been a mistake in hindsight. They thought they could just do Texas. Nobody else was going to respond. And then this is from Kevin Kiley. I wish none of this had happened. I wish that cooler heads had prevailed and we'd be able to reach some sort of a truce on this before it snowballed into what it's become. Obviously, they saw what happened in Virginia. There are some people that are worried what's going to happen in Florida, and on and on and on we go.
On and on we go. What about Illinois? What about Delaware? What about massive two shits? Huh? What about Maryland? Huh? What about New York? Oh, yeah. What about Minnesota? What about Wisconsin? What about Michigan? What about all those states? Come on, Pennsylvania. Huh? Come on.
What's your response to your Republican colleagues there? At least, well, one's an independent now.
Well, first, I trust our Republican legislature and our governor in the state of Florida to do it in a manner that follows the law and does it in a manner that will pick up seats based on the fact that previous maps were racially gerrymandered, which is the whole precipice of that Louisiana court case before the U.S. Supreme Court. And Florida led the way the last time. The last time we had redistricting, we picked up 4 seats and we won the majority by 4 or 5 seats. So I attribute that a lot to the redistricting that Florida did, leading in our conservative agenda. You are seeing people from all over the country move to the great state of Florida because of the policies that we have in place. We don't have an income tax. We get 1,100 people a day that move here, and they flee Democratic cities and states because of the policies that they put in place. And we should absolutely redistrict based on the growth that Florida's had in the last 4 or 5 years.
Okay. Congressman, I have like 30 seconds left in this segment. I just want to quickly ask you, do you feel like you're getting good strategy advice and messaging from
who is this? Who is this person?
leadership when it comes to the midterms?
Oh, this is that Hosni lady. Oh, yeah, go figure. So here's the map that Florida has drawn. All right, there was 4. I put 4 stories in the thumbnails. So Florida cooks. I wish it wasn't so hot. I'm going to tell you right now, I thought the same thing, Casper, but I have no problem with Florida. All right. I'm telling you, I thought it was hotter in the summertime in Chicago with the humidity in Chicago and the wind, when there's just no wind, no nothing. As long as you're by the water in Florida, as long as you're within a mile of the ocean, it's fine. You get a breeze, a cool breeze. No, like your humidity just disappears in the afternoon. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. So Florida's new map, which would add 4 Republican seats to the House, has been revealed. It's on track to go into effect prior to the 2026 midterms. DeSantis says Florida got shortchanged in the 2020 census. Yes, it did. Florida got shortchanged by at least 1 seat because of the way Biden did it. Yeah. Oh, America First says Jim is right about stopping large cities from stealing rural representation in Congress. That's what I'm saying. Thank you for that, America First. With that means we are now just 70 away from adding a first additional hour to the show. Thank you so much. You want Hochul Kappa? Maryland, my Maryland. I miss my home. No, it's crazy. It's crazy. The current makeup is 20 Republican seats and 8 Demon Rat seats. 1 is vacant. 4 of those Demon Rats are expected to flip. Here's the map. Here's the map. Here's the map. Look at this map. This is a beautiful map. Look at that map of Florida. Wow. So right here, here's like right around Orlando. Wow. And the way that they've split up Tampa, they were able to split up Tampa to get rid of the blue district in Tampa. Yeah, look at this. This is what they're doing. This is what they're doing.
This guy Jeffries popping off in Washington about Florida. He wants to be Speaker of the House. And he's kind of like, more liberal than Pelosi and all this other stuff from New York City. I just want to know, say, Florida can't do, we're going to go after Florida. Please be my guest. I will pay for you to come down to Florida and campaign. I'll put you up in the Florida governor's mansion. We'll take you fishing. We'll do all this stuff. There's nothing that could be better for Republicans in Florida than to see Hakeem Jeffries, everywhere around this state. Voters will not like what they see. They will not want that type of ideology. And so the door is open. The invitation's out there. I don't think there'd be anything better for the Republican Party of Florida but to have Jeffries there. Now, I kind of feel bad for the guy because he's as left as they come. He's always going left. And yet the far left hates him. They call him a dollar store Obama. They call him AIPAC Shakur, all these different derogatory names that they do. And so he's tried to ingratiate himself with their
AIPAC Shakur. That's funny.
And so they give him a hard time. So I kind of feel bad for that. But
very pretty color,
be
right?
my guest to come down in Florida. We would love to have you. Any questions?
Yes. Any questions? Any more brain busters? DeSantis knows winning in the midterms is the number 1 priority. Dems are using lawfare to target American energy to deliberately drive up prices to make sure Trump's inflation plan fails. Wow. High energy bills blame the trial lawyers. That's right. From the Washington Post. It is the trial lawyers' problem. DeSantis unveils the new congressional maps.
Princeton University political scientist Lauren Wright and former California GOP chairwoman Jessica Milan Patterson. Thank you both for coming on. Jessica, to you first. I want to play some back and forth. This is the Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and the House Leader Hakeem Jeffries kind of taking swings at each other over the whole redistricting thing. Watch.
We're on offense. That's our Democratic gift to Ron DeSantis and the Florida Republicans, who he is putting in jeopardy. The Trump Republican gerrymandering scheme has failed.
I heard this guy Jeffries popping off in Washington about Florida. Please be my guest. I will pay for you to come down to Florida. And
I actually got gas today. You don't know how gas prices are allowed to fluctuate as crazy as they do. I don't know either. I actually paid $3.71 for gas today, which is more expensive than I want it to be, but that's like 30 cents under $4. Yeah, John Larson's been in Congress since 99, term limits. There should be some term limits on Congress too. I think so. I thought you said Jeffries had bedhead. Maybe me. I got bedhead. I don't really. I just didn't really put anything. It's $3.99 there. Jeffrey Epstein needs to go. Yes, he does. Definitely.
Campaign. The far left hates him. They call him a dollar store Obama.
Jessica, what do you think? Are the Democrats on offense like Hakeem Jeffries says?
I think they're certainly trying to be. I think Hakeem Jeffries needs to figure out, why is it political gerrymandering when we're talking about Texas and Florida, but it's not when we're talking about California and Virginia? What we've seen is that there are some very legitimate reasons for mid-decade redistricting, and it usually comes from the courts. We saw that from the Biden DOJ that started off the redistricting in Texas. And then you have these areas like California and Virginia that have redistricting commissions, where the people very specifically have said, we don't want politicians drawing their own lines. And that's exactly what they've done with these mid-decade redistricting. So consistency has to be a part of this fairness that Hakeem Jeffries talks about. And I think nobody knows Florida better than Ron DeSantis, and he's calling that one a ball and a strike.
Yeah, well, talking about fairness, right here in New York City, it looks like the honeymoon is over. Zoran Mamdani is getting some pushback from the left. They say he's too soft on Israel. They say he's not doing enough for the trans community, not supporting striking workers. Listen to this.
Oh, man.
Mamdani, where have you been? Starving workers are starving. They need your help. Where are you now? I know you're like...
Starving workers are starving. Starving workers are starving. Wow. Are they working and still starving, or are they not working and that's why they're starving?
I mean, come over! The workers have been on hunger strike for the past 6 days to end the 24-hour workday. And Mayor Mamdani's only response...
But they have got to take the talk down.
Last time there was a hunger strike at City Hall for taxi workers, Zoran Mamdani hunger striked with them. So where is he now when immigrant women of color need him most?
Welcome to Mayordom in New York City. They want Mamdani to go now on the hunger strike with them, Lauren.
Careful what you wish for. Careful what you wish for. Yeah. No, this was only going to go one of two ways when he got elected. Either he was going to go back on a lot of these really extreme ideas because they're not able to be implemented, or he was going to go full bore toward the progressive left, and there's not left enough that you could possibly go to appease those people. So I think he's trying to do some of the crazy policies. Some of them are not working out. But, this is the base. These are his people, and he would have been right there with them hunger striking if it was a few months ago.
Yes, he would have been. Meantime, while we got the gloves on, Jessica Milan Patterson, you got Markwayne Mullin, the new DHS secretary. Chuck Schumer said that he does not respect ICE agents or Border Patrol agents, and the new DHS secretary said this about Chuck Schumer.
Chuck Scummer.
Adding $140 billion to an agency, two groups, Border Patrol and ICE, that nobody respects in this country.
I respect them. Everybody watching this channel respects them, don't you? They're doing the job that they were promised they were going to do. Every illegal alien needs to go home. Every person who overstayed their visa needs to go home. Every person that snuck across the border. Every person that was granted parole illegally that's been revoked. Every person that was given temporary protected status, which has been revoked or expired. They all need to go home.
Chuck Schumer, no one respects you. The definition of a lying scumbag politician
is
you. You would be the definition if you Googled you right now. For you to say that is so disrespectful to the law enforcement that is out there protecting you, because he has a detail with him. How about he walks around these city streets without a detail?
I think it's a good idea. How about Chuck Schumer walk around and kind of walk a mile in these people's shoes? Yes.
Yeah, that would be great, wouldn't that? Get them to walk a mile in their shoes.
There's two things going on here.
Yeah. So should the state legislature, which holds a Republican majority in both the House and the Senate of the state of Florida, approve the redrawing, it would return to DeSantis to be signed into law, and it would apply to the 2026 midterms. You like Mullen so much. I don't know enough about him, but he's no slouch. I don't like that he said that he's fine with legal immigration, that we want people to come here legally. We need more people here to work. I'm like, no, we don't. We do not need more people here to work. We need American kids to start working. We need native-born American kids to get jobs in the summertime again. High school jobs, summer jobs, after-school jobs. That way they have work ethic and they'll actually go and do stuff. It's not like now where they just want, to to not do anything. Just saying. So Florida got shortchanged in the 2020 census. We've been fighting for fair representation ever since. We have moved from a Democrat majority to a 1.5 million Republican advantage. Yes, let's get back to basics, then reconsider the difference. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Drawing maps based on race, which is reflected in our current congressional districts, is unconstitutional and should be prohibited. Our new maps makes good on our promise. It's more fairly represents the makeup of Florida today. Currently, the delegation is represented by 20 Republicans and 7 Democrats, with an 8th Democrat seat vacant following the resignation of Sheila Sherfilis McCormick. The redistrict map comes after Virginia recently approved a constitutional amendment that was illegally proposed, and they didn't follow the Constitution to get it. You cleaned out your belly button yesterday. Don't know why. Well, probably because it was full of lint. Virginia's new map was praised by the Demon Rats, including Governor Abigail, I'm a lying scumbag CIA agent, Spanberger, and former President Barack Hussein. If I had a kid, it would look like Trayvon Obama. Racial and political information should be prohibited from the ones drawing the gerrymandering. Yeah, it should be. Should be. Wow, that's what I call a beautiful map. Virginia, how voters have spoken tonight. That's what she says. 51.5% of Virginia voters approved the amendment last week. Was it that? I didn't think it was that much. Yeah. So 10 seats for Democrats and 1 for Republicans. Yes. We need more kids going to tech jobs not involving gaming and web crap. AMD hold the side order of political indoctrination. We need engineers who can design and make chips. That's what I would call an honest map. What's the blue in Central Florida? That's called the Orlando area, Kissimmee. You know, because you have a whole bunch of people there that, you know, you got a whole just weird, you know, the people that work at Disney, work at the parks, work at all the hotels and stuff there. It's it's Disney. Yeah. A source familiar with DeSantis' new map told Fox the redistricting proposal isn't as closely tied to Virginia's recent sway, and the decision is more related to the population increases. The governor's been planning this long before he took the government was planning this long before what took place in Virginia. Continues to be adamant that Floridians deserve fair representation. California implemented a similar strategy with implementation of Prop 50, which temporarily allows the far-left Democratic Assembly in the state to draw new congressional maps. The new California legislature drawn maps show Democrat-leaning seats favoring 4 that were previously held by Republicans, with projections showing Democrats will hold as many as 48 seats in Congress, while the GOP could have as few as 4. So there's over 40 million people in California. Roughly 20, 18 million people vote Republican, and they're going to have 4 seats. Yeah, pedo world, yep. Isn't there secret tunnels under Disney? I think so. So Hakeem, I Have a Dream, Jeffries. Our message is to Florida is F around and find out. They go down this road, the Florida Republicans are going to find themselves in the same situation as Texas Republicans who are on the run right now. What is he talking about? The problem for you demon rats is you've already gerrymandered pretty much every state you can. What else are you going to do? You're going to gerrymander Massachusetts more? You're going to gerrymander Maryland more? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And he said, under no circumstances are Texas Republicans picking up 5 seats. They'll be fortunate if they get 2 or 3. While in California, we're going to get all 5. Oh, okay. During a news conference in Florida, DeSantis responded to Jeffrey's comments with an invitation to come down and campaign for the Democratic congressional candidates, implying the state's Republican majority would hold strong in the midterm. Yeah. He said, we'll do all this stuff. There's nothing that could be better for Republicans in Florida than to see Hakeem Jeffries everywhere around this state. Yeah, they spend nights dreaming up crap. Oh, they do. Yeah. House Speaker Mike Johnson encouraged Florida's redistricting attempt, saying the state has the right to do so. Florida has the right and the intention to do it, and my view is they should. So that's what I say. We'll just look at this real quick. Florida governor unveils proposed new map, giving GOP 4 extra seats. Wow, that's a pretty map right there. There's the map. 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 All right, and then this is another one of the stories. You guys saw what Jimmy Kimmel was part of that stuff, like Jimmy Kimmel said. So this is leftists will go on TV and make jokes about how they hope the president gets assassinated shortly before another leftist tries to assassinate him, with other leftists standing outside the event with signs saying to assassinate him and still distance themselves from responsibility. Can't handle anymore or what? What can't you handle anymore? Kimmel, by the way, spread the disinformation that Charlie Kirk's murderer was a Trump supporter when he was actually a Trump critic and a leftist, but Kimmel's audience will never even look at the evidence or the facts. The left just goes by what their cult tells them. Jimmy Kimmel delivered a fake White House Correspondents' Dinner speech. So I'm going to play this just because, you guys have to know what kind of scumbag we're dealing with.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny, right? It's funny. He should have never left Adam Carolla or his lane. Yeah, well, he was always just a scumbag. Yeah. First Lady Melania Trump is slamming ABC for allowing Jimmy Kimmel to joke about people trying to assassinate President Trump. Yeah. Kimmel wasn't funny even when Carolla was carrying him. It's too hot to handle. UFO. I wonder if Jimmy Kimmel has to deal with Jesuit priests in the venue. It's possible. That map has too much blue. Well, that's what I say. Should have been any blue. Should have been a way to figure out how to get rid of all the blue. I don't know. Maybe. She says Kimmel's hateful, violent rhetoric is intended to divide our country. His monologue about my family isn't comedy. His words are corrosive and deepens the political sickness within America. People like Kimmel shouldn't have the opportunity to enter our homes each evening to spread hate. Yeah, Kimmel needs to be pulled off the effing air. Oh, yeah. A coward, Kimmel hides behind ABC because he knows the network will keep running cover to protect him. Enough is enough. It's time for ABC to take a stand. How many times will ABC leadership enable Kimmel's atrocious behavior at the expense of our community? Crazy. That's crazy, right? It's better see some action. Don't hold your breath. Melania Trump blasts coward Jimmy Kimmel over a hateful monologue. I mean, Melania Trump savagely criticized ABC's late night host Jimmy Kimmel as a coward after he referred to her as an expectant widow. I mean, that's just nuts, man. Kimmel's hateful, violent rhetoric is intended to divide our country, Melania wrote in a post on X. The president also hit back, calling the late night host to be canned for the tasteless remark. Kimmel should be immediately fired. Kimmel, who is in no way funny, as attested to by his terrible television ratings, made a statement on his show that was really shocking. He showed a fake video of the First Lady and our son like they were actually sitting in a studio. And then he said that, look at her, she's so beautiful. You have the glow of an expectant widow. Lies and torture, not able to handle. Where? Where's the lies and torture? On this, me? I'm lying? You have a lot of coastline, not implying anything illicit. Oh, okay. She should have called him a coward when he was crying the third time about Trump. Yeah. They all failed upward in the club. Who thinks that stuff is funny? Like, that's not funny to say you have the glow of an expecting widow. Like, what? A day later, a lunatic tried entering the ballroom loaded with a shotgun, a handgun, and many knives to kill the president. I appreciate so many people are incensed by Kimmel's despicable call to violence. That's why they had a laugh track. They don't need anyone to agree. Yeah. You are Jimmy Dore's mentor with 500 subscribers. Okay. The host also mocked Trump's 22-year marriage and his parody, at one point pretending to introduce, oh, by the way, Melania, this is Donald. Donald, this is Melania. Like, yeah, I even saw some idiots on X when Melania posted this stuff that had the balls to say Melania is not American. Well, she's not even American. It's like, excuse me? What? Leftist? She's not American? She is an American citizen. She's married to an American citizen. She has American citizen. I mean, she had a green card, was naturalized. She's now a U.S. citizen. I mean, what are you talking about? You guys want people that just cross the border to be considered American citizens and given everything. The First Lady was sitting between her husband and White House press secretary at the top of the table when the gunshots were heard. ABC did not respond to a request for comment. You loved House of the Rising Sun? Oh, it's a good song. There is a house in New Orleans they call the Rising Sun. In September 25, Kimmel was taken off the air for a few days following backlash from affiliates in the wake of his comments about the Charlie Kirk assassination. Oh, wow. So he just loves people getting killed, I guess. He thinks it's funny. Kimmel failed to apologize. Trump fumed about ABC's decision to give him the show back. I can't believe ABC fake news gave Kimmel his job back. The White House was told by ABC that his show was canceled. Something happened between then and now because his audience is gone and his talent was never there. Melania Trump calls for ABC to fire Kimmel.
First Lady Melania Trump apparently calling on ABC to fire Jimmy Kimmel. This appears to be in response to a segment that Kimmel aired days before the White House Correspondents' Dinner. In that segment, Kimmel said the First Lady had the glow of a, quote, expectant widow. And now we have this response. The First Lady writing on X the following, quote, Kimmel's hateful and violent rhetoric is intended to divide our country. His monologue about my family is not comedy. His words are corrosive and deepens the political sickness within America. It is time for ABC to take a stand. How many times will ABC's leadership enable Kimmel's atrocious behavior at the expense of our community, end quote. For the second time
hello,
now,
Mr. Hudson.
2 weeks, the First
How you
Lady
doing,
taking
Jake?
a public stand. A few weeks back, she made a statement asserting that the rumors about Jeffrey Epstein and connections to her were baseless. And now we have this response to Jimmy Kimmel just in.
Wow. Hey, Jake, whatever happened to that song you made for me? I can't find it anymore. Jake made me a song. And I can't find it. I don't know what happened to it. It's not on your page anymore, Jake. Did you delete it? Okay. And then even The Hill says Melania Trump rips the White House correspondent alternative sketch recorded before the shooting. Kimmel hides behind ABC. Hey, what's up, Cesium Cat? How you doing? You don't know what happened to it? Sorry? No, that's all right. You don't have to be sorry. What's up, Lisa? How you doing? President Trump calls on Disney ABC to fire Jimmy Kimmel. You guys were asking what that little blue dot was in Florida, remember? And I said it was right around Disney. You see? This is Disney. The people, Disney. President Trump called on ABC network and owner Disney to fire late night host Jimmy Kimmel. Oh, love you guys. Oh, okay. Thanks, Jake. In his fake White House correspondent speech, Jimmy Kimmel actually joked about Trump's assassination just before a real assassin showed up at the real dinner. Wow. Why are you guys, what the hell are you finally going to pull this vile person off the airwaves? 2 days later, a would-be assassin attacked the White House. Melania Trump was seated next to her husband. Yeah. Look at Melania's look on her face. Look at that woman like, oh my God, the Chinese spy. So Kimmel's had a long-standing feud with Trump and wants him dead. Nobody watches him. Yep, nobody watches him, Brooklyn. Kimmel was suspended for a few days last September for his comments on Charlie Kirk's assassination. Trump has too much confidence in Disney. I've been boycotting them since they gave credits in the live-action Mulan for letting them shoot in internment camps. Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? That's nuts that they would do that. That's nuts. Wow, Jimmy Kimmel was no way funny, as attested to by his terrible TV ratings, made a statement on his show that is really shocking. He showed a fake video. I think a day later, a lunatic entered the ballroom of the White House, loaded up with a shotgun, handgun, and many knives. He was there for various obvious and sinister reason. I appreciate that so many people are incensed by Kimmel's despicable call to violence. Normally, I would not be responsive to anything that he said, but this is something far beyond the pale. Kimmel should be immediately fired. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Melania's statement says Kimmel's hateful, violent rhetoric is intended to divide our country. His monologues about my family isn't comedy. His words are corrosive and deepens the political sickness within America. People like Kimmel shouldn't have the opportunity to enter our homes each evening to spread hate. A coward. Yes, a coward. The network will keep him. This just says Trump demands ABC fire Jimmy Kimmel immediately. All right. And then Marco Rubio has some stuff to say about Iran. It seems like Iran is playing some games. Some other Trump is watching Jimmy Kimmel with my television I kicked to the curb 10 years ago, I bet. My old Sony's probably making a tour of the pawn shops. He loves Star Wars and Marvel, but Disney just isn't worth supporting anymore. Yeah. He makes $15 to $16 million a year. Have him arrested. I mean, I don't know if you can have him arrested. He didn't there's like a line there. Like, I don't know about having him arrested, but he definitely shouldn't be on the airwaves because ABC is ruled by the FCC. So, just like you can't get on a plane and talk about bombs, you can't get on the airwaves and talk about assassinating the president. That's the way I look at it. Like, there are rules. Marco Rubio tells the hard-headed Iranian Shia clerics to screw off. All right, here we go. Here's Marco Rubio. He's got some words for the clerics in Iranistan.
Canceled the planned talks in Islamabad, Pakistan, encouraging the delegation not to go. And on Saturday, the president canceled the talks in Islamabad, Pakistan, keeping Special Envoys Kushner and Witkoff here in the United States. He said just 10 minutes later, the Iranians made a new offer on paper. and it was better. If what they mean by opening the straits is, yes, the straits are opened as long as you coordinate with Iran, get our permission, or we'll blow you up, and you pay us, that's not opening the straits. Those are international waterways. They cannot normalize, nor can we tolerate them trying to normalize a system in which the Iranians decide who gets to use an international waterway and how much you have to pay them to use it.
No, that's right. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. All right. Yeah. See, Iran offers a deal to reopen the strait and delay the nuclear talks. So Iran wants to delay. Just let's you do this, we'll do this, and then we won't talk anymore. It's like, no. You wish Vance was as well spoken as Rubio about this stuff. I'm with you, Jim, 100%. I don't understand, because I've heard Vance speak about stuff. I don't know what the problem is. Vance used to be able to talk a lot. He used to be all over the place talking. I don't get it. I don't know why he seems to stumble now. What Kimmel said is tantamount to calling for violence against the president? Yeah, I agree. So Iran has given the U.S. a new proposal, including putting off nuclear negotiations. That's right. Listen, the whole thing that we were fighting about, let's just not talk about it. This is a delay tactics. They're stalling. You would think Kimmel's ratings are down, which would affect CBS. Well, it's ABC, I believe. I think eventually, but then again, I do not watch CBS, NBC, or those networks. Yeah. I think you can't say SOS for Peaceful Revolution Olympics in the super chat. They probably don't let them do that on the Knights of Multimedia. Okay. The plan conveyed through mediators and Pakistanis calls for extending the ceasefire. Yeah, they want to extend the ceasefire. Don't bomb us anymore. Don't hurt us anymore. We're not going to negotiate, though, the stuff. And what? No. You've heard theories that Vance is trying to separate himself from MAGA so he and Gabbard can fight over 2028. I don't know about that, man. If Bobby Kennedy keeps doing what he's doing and saying the stuff he's saying, Bobby Kennedy's going to be a force to reckon with in 2028. Nuclear talks would only come later, only after the U.S. blockade is lifted. Oh, but wait, I thought they were blockading it. Who's blockading it? This is seriously Schrodinger's strait. Is it open? Is it closed? Is it closed? Is it open? I don't know. Pack of Stanley mediators have given a proposal to the White House, but it's unclear whether the U.S. wants to explore it. You don't know either? I'm still on Rubio's track as of now. Yeah, I think Rubio's going to be a force to reckon with in 2028. I mean, it's going to be that sounds like a Barnes rumor. It does, doesn't it? JD is biting the hand. I hope not. Trump planned to hold a meeting in the White House Situation Room on April 27th with national security and foreign policy officials. These are sensitive diplomatic discussions, and the U.S. will not negotiate through the press, said Miss Olivia Wales, a White House spokeswoman, in an email. As the president said, the United States holds the cards, and it will only make a deal that puts American people first, never allowing Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Crude oil paired gains and Asian stock extended advances. So that means oil dropped and stocks are advancing. Because if oil was up, stocks would be dropping. So it lifting sentiment that after efforts to restart talks stalled. Efforts to resume peace talks over the Iran war halted over the weekend after Trump canceled the planned trip. Well, yeah, why would you send him there? So on April 25th, Trump acknowledged a new plan from Iran, saying the Islamic Republic quickly sent over a fresh proposal after he told his envoys to stand down on a trip. Interesting, when I canceled it, within 10 minutes, we got a new paper that was much better. Iran offered a lot, but not enough. While a ceasefire has largely held since early April, both countries continue to maintain a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, making a key energy choke point virtually impassable. Well, the disruption to about a fifth of the world's oil flow has been dubbed the biggest supply shock in history. Well, I think that Saudi Arabia has been transiting oil across the country to, it's called I think the Delta or the deep pipeline or something like that, Delta pipeline, Delta plan, where it goes across and then it goes into the Red Sea, basically. American forces implementing the blockade against Iran have directed 38 ships to turn around or return to port. Iran is in turn imposing its own blockade using a Mosquito fleet of gunboats. Well, they need to start getting rid of those gunboats. As of 2024, China consumes 16 million barrels per day, ranking second globally behind the United States. Daily transits are now close to zero. The oil market faces a guaranteed supply loss of around 1 billion barrels, in part because of the time it would take to revive flows once the strait reopens. So the Iranian foreign minister met with mediators met with the Pakistanis. You're going to be right back? You got a sweep? All right. Aragachi arrived in Russia for talks with Putin. And then the Sun says, backing down, Iran offers Trump a deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and bring the war to an end, but would regime give up nuclear ambition? Well, it doesn't sound like they want to, so let's see. Oh, here's Trump.
Trip, we have all the cards. We're not going to spend. You probably heard that we canceled the trip. We have all the cards. We're not going to spend 15 hours in airplanes all the time going back and forth to be giving
that was a shower? Oh, okay,
was
shower.
not good enough. And so we'll deal by telephone, and they can call us anytime they want. Again, we have all the cards. They have no military left, practically. They have no leaders left. We don't know who the leaders are. Nobody knows who the leader. I don't think they know who the leaders are, very importantly. So you saw that. And any other questions?
Yes, sir.
I think Pakistan is terrific. I think the field marshal is fantastic. I think the prime minister of Pakistan is great. And, you know, they'd like to see something happen, but we're not going to be traveling 15, 16 hours to have a meeting with people that nobody ever heard of before.
What changed to make you make that decision?
Too much travel. And when they say the meeting's scheduled for Tuesday, I said, Tuesday, that's a long time from now. But when you get right down to it, it's a lot of traveling. No, we don't want to do that.
At what point do you send Witkoff and Kushner and send Vice President Vance in? At what point?
Hey, Tony, what's up, buddy?
Those are three. When they say the meeting's scheduled for Tuesday, I said, Tuesday, that's a long time from now. But when you...
Wow. That's from Tony. What's up? How you doing, buddy? Long time no see. I'm glad you're here. Good to see you tonight. I hope you're doing well. So you support the what they're trying to do with the with the psychedelic stuff? They're going to explore it for veterans, for PTSD and stuff. I think it's anything that works, I think is good. You know, anything that works, I think is good. What's this? Thank you. I'll pull that up in a second. Poor Molly. Molly Ringwald was so cute when she was told a joke about the fun guy. Yeah.
Get right down to it, it's a lot of traveling. No, we don't want to do that.
At what point do you send Witkoff and Kushner and send Vice President Vance in? At what point are
Well,
you
we
going to be
would.
ready?
They're all very competent, all three. Those are three good. But they weren't meeting with the leader of the country. They were meeting with other people. And I said, we're just not going to do it. Too much traveling, takes too long, too expensive. I'm a very cost-conscious person. I'll deal with whoever runs the show. They don't know. They are fighting with each other. There's tremendous infighting. They're probably fighting for leadership. In many cases, I think they're fighting not to be the leader because we knocked out 2 levels of leaders. But I'll deal with whoever we have to. But there's no reason to wait 2 days, have people traveling for 16, 17 hours. And we're not doing it that way. We'll do it. When they want, they can call me. We have all the cards. We've won everything. We have all the cards.
Yesterday you said to Reuters that we're dealing with who is in charge now. What changed from yesterday to today?
Nothing. It's just that they gave us a paper that should have been better. And interestingly, immediately when I canceled it, within 10 minutes we got a new paper that was much better.
What was on that paper, sir?
We talked about they will not have.
What was on that paper? Like what are these people that dense that they think he's going to tell them what was on the paper? Like he's going to negotiate in the press with them? I mean, what is wrong with these people?
Have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. Look, that whole deal is not complicated. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Very simple.
Is the ceasefire remaining? Will you continue the ceasefire?
Haven't even thought about it yet.
Did they offer anything in return to 20 years of suspending enriched uranium?
They offered a lot.
What
but
did they offer?
They offered a lot, but not enough.
Wow.
This is print.
No. So get out of here. So Iran offered a deal to reopen the strait and end the war, but also put negotiations for their nuclear ambitions on the back burner. Well, that's not going to happen. That's just delay. That's just what you call delay. So that's not going to happen. That's not going to work. This says, and so here, I wonder what Putin said, because here's the guy with Putin. Iran wants the Strait of Hormuz reopening tied to an end of the war. Iran has offered to end its chokehold on the strait. Why, if we can't stop them from putting a chokehold on the strait, then what does that say about our military and us? I mean, we should be able to basically, anything they try to interfere with any ships, we should immediately destroy whatever tries to interfere with them. If they send a boat out, we should sink it. I don't understand what's going on. What's going on? If you're telling me we don't have that capability, then I really got to question what the hell happened to our military, that we can't stop this tin pot third world country. What? That doesn't make sense to me. This just says, Iran proposes a straight deal with U.S. seeks to delay nuclear talks. It's just about delaying. So I'm saying they're just trying to bide their time. They're trying to bide their time. That's my opinion. These people. Just trying to bide their time. According to U.S. and regional sources, the proposal was conveyed through a Pakistanis. And they prioritized reopening the shipping route and potentially extending the ceasefire. Yeah, they want the shipping routes, mines and drones are all that's left. That's what I'm saying. They want the straits reopened. They don't want to be under blockade because they need the blockade to end, because they need the stuff for their missiles and rockets. They need the fuel, which we stopped them from getting the fuel. That's what was on that cargo ship from China. It was all fuel. And so they want that stuff. You know. And then Trump, this next story, Trump's been calling for unity, you know what I mean? Telling these demon rats that we need unity, we have to stop the stuff. This situation could go on for years. No, it better not. I'm telling you right now, they better, if they better do what you got to do to get it over with by the 4th of July. That's it. If it ain't over by the 4th of July, that's not good. So Dems must heed Trump's call for unity in the wake of the frightening shooting at the Correspondents' Dinner. The look on First Lady Melania Trump's face. Lloyd's of London and other insurance companies won't insure ships going through the strait. Yeah, well, that's why I believe the problems with the military cannot fit within a 200-character limit. Yes, I know that, but as far as I know, I thought the U.S. government was going to provide the insurance for the boats. I thought that's what was part of an order he gave. Why do I look so... What is wrong with my head? Why do I look so... I guess that's better. Anyway, she was mouth agape, frozen in horror as the room erupted in chaos. Hundreds of journalists and politicians hitting the deck as Secret Service agents barreled towards the stage. By contrast, the expression on the president's face was calm, slightly quizzical, his jaw tight as he surveyed the ballroom and glanced towards the agents dashing to block him with their bodies from a potential other assailants before bundling him off the stage. Perhaps after surviving his third confirmed assassination attempt. No. Let's see. Let's do this. How many assassination attempts have there been on President Trump? See, this is bullshit. There was a guy who tried to break into Mar-a-Lago. They're not listing him. Well, that's terrible. Okay, yeah. So I just said, what about February 2026 at Mar-a-Lago? Oh, yes, that happened on February 2026. So that's 4. So you're going to have to go through. This is how shitty the AI is. You got to basically go through and tell it that they're wrong. Because there's been like 11. There was an Iranian guy right before politics. I'm saying there's been like 11 attempts on Trump that they know of. I mean, just because they stopped them doesn't mean they weren't attempts. Yeah, 2 hours after he was at the White House press briefing room named after James Brady, the White House press secretary shot in the head and paralyzed in the 81 assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan. Yeah, Brady. We have the Brady gun bill because of him, which... The historical echo is not lost on any of the hastily assembled journalists still dressed in their black tie finery. If his Trump deranged critics could be honest with themselves for a moment, they would admit the president's remarks that night were pitch perfect. Wearing his tuxedo, he offered a calm reassurance, wry humor, and even kindness to the shaken reporters and the nation sick of the ongoing political violence. He called Wei Zhejiang, the president of the White House Correspondents Association, who's a Chinese spy, in my opinion, who's been sitting next to him on stage, yelling at him. Madam Chairman, he said, I just want to say you did a fantastic job. What a beautiful evening. Oh, is she Madam Chairman Xi Jinping? After that, it's very tough for her to ask a killer question. And we'll make it bigger and better. So you want to do another one. He praised the media. You've been very responsible in your coverage. I don't say they've been responsible. They were saying, oh, look, Trump, loud bangs. Trump had to leave, all this stuff. He said that should be a unifying experience and perhaps even an augur of a more harmonious times ahead. This was an event dedicated to freedom of speech. It was supposed to bring together members of both parties with members of the press, and certainly in a way it did. I saw a room that was just totally unified, and one very beautiful thing to see. We have to resolve our differences. I will say you had Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Conservatives, Liberals, Progressives, but yet in that room there was a record-setting group of people, and there were a tremendous amount of love and coming together. Let's hope the president's words prove prophetic, but with the demon rats slavering over what the certain impending victory in the midterm elections and the planned impeachment. And it's hard to imagine, despite valiant Senator Fetterman calling for his party to drop the TDS. Guess where Jiang got her start? Probably in the CCP, right? She was born in China, I know that. She was born in China. And there's no end to the bloodlust of the Luigi left, the revolutionary nihilistic segment of the demon rat base that celebrates political violence. Yeah, you got Destiny, Stephen Bonham, Bonnard, whatever his name is, Stephen Weirdo. You got Hassan Piker, that's blatantly calling on killing senators and stuff like that. Like, how do these people, like, how is it not a violation of Twitch or Kicks or whatever place he's at, terms of service, to say he wants these politicians to be killed? Like, how is that legal? How is that not a violation of terms of service? Like, I don't get it. I would never say that about any politician, no matter how much I dislike them. I wouldn't call for their death. Wishing for Trump's assassination is not even a fringe phenomenon, with Jimmy Kimmel thinking it was funny to perform a skit fantasizing about the First Lady becoming a widow. Judging by his manifesto, Saturday night's Trump assassin wannabe was radicalized by the same grab bag of demon rats and their attacks on Trump, from Russiagate to the Very Fine People hoax to Epstein. And they recycle night and day through the mainstream media. Maryland started in Salisbury, the street reporter in Baltimore, then went national overnight. Oh. A lot of Trump deranged demon rats. 31-year-old Al moved from Elon Musk's X to left-wing social media Blue Sky. Where his here's the thing, do you remember after January 6th, they shut down Parler because some of the people there had Parler accounts? Well, here's Blue Sky, where all of these people that tried to kill Trump were on Blue Sky talking about killing Trump. So maybe Blue Sky should get shut down, until they can figure out what's going on. Or something. Politics being what it is, it's unlikely demon rats will change their course from their winning formula of demonizing Trump and whipping up half the country into a frenzy of hatred. But maybe their voters will punish them for going too far. Maybe. A colleague inside the building was holding my ticket, so I flashed a PDF on my phone of an invitation to a pre-dinner party to gain entry. And having the president and the vice president feel apart at the top table while Speaker Johnson, Rubio, Bessent, Hegseth, and the other top officials were in direct line of succession were sitting in the ballroom. Very crazy. If the worst had happened and the attack had been carried out by multiple gunmen or suicide bombers, that would have left the 92-year-old Senator Chuck Grassley as the only one in the line of succession not in the room. Yes, please like and subscribe. Yes, please like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe. Yes. Yes. Yes, please like and subscribe. The event should have been treated by the Secret Service at the same level of an NSSE, National Special Security event. A national security source told me, without that label, perimeters shrink and basic security measures like inspecting hotel guests and their vehicles are not considered for inspection days ahead. That's crazy. That's just crazy. Something needs to change, and an urgent first step is to bring the Secret Service back into Treasury from DHS, as has long been mooted, restoring its identity as an elite group with better focus and funding. And the sooner Trump gets a secure ballroom built, the better. I mean, it's just better for all presidents, really. He's going to build it for other presidents, not building it for himself. Dems must finally heed Trump's call for unity. Oh, we saw this. All right. Virginia's top court pounds demon rats over their redistricting plan, calls it a blatant power grab. Well, that sounds like they don't really like what's going on. That's the Virginia Supreme Court. They're like, hey, listen, you guys, you might want to slow your roll a little bit because it looks like you might not have followed the Constitution when you did this. Yes. Z-Quill. Z-Quill. Is that like NyQuil? Z top quill? Is that Flow? That's Flow. Democrats face tough questioning before the Virginia Supreme Court on Monday during the oral arguments on a redistricting referendum that narrowly passed last week, though most of the justices were oddly quiet. Oddly quiet. I wonder why they're oddly quiet.
But first, breaking tonight, a circuit court in Virginia ruled a short time ago, within the past 2 hours, that the redistricting referendum passed by voters yesterday is unconstitutional. The judge is now blocking certification of the election and denying a motion to stay pending appeal. Virginia's Democratic Attorney General responding by posting that he plans to appeal that. Correspondent Mark Meredith has all the details tonight, live from Alexandria. Good evening, Mark.
Brett, good evening to you. Plenty of new drama here in the Commonwealth tonight. Republicans are challenging the legality of yesterday's ballot measure. They have asked a judge to throw out the case, essentially to wait for it to happen. An injunction was issued, the judge agreeing. Democrats, as you mentioned, say they are going to appeal, that there's no merit to this case, that they believe this is an attempt to override the will of the voters. Either way, Brett, this is creating a lot more chaos ahead of November's midterms.
Donald Trump and Republicans launch this gerrymandering war. We're going to finish it.
Tonight, Democrats are claiming victory after Virginia voters narrowly approved a referendum giving state lawmakers power to redraw congressional maps this year, likely shrinking Republican representation from 5 House districts to 1.
It's a hyper-partisan gerrymandering boondoggle.
Critics accuse Virginia's Democratic governor, Abigail Spanberger, of flip-flopping after previously
Appeal,
calling
the appeal,
gerrymandering detrimental to democracy.
Dan,
She
what's up?
says
Great to have you here.
Justified after Texas redrew its maps.
We want to respond to what we see other states doing at the request of this president.
Republicans say the fight's not over. The state Supreme Court has yet to rule if the referendum was legal to begin with.
We believe we have a very strong case before the state Supreme Court.
Today, President Trump, without proof, said the race was rigged, adding,
Why would you, without proof, said the race was rigged? Like, what are you talking about? The proof is that the way they labeled it, they said it to restore, they said the vote said restore fairness to our elections. How is that not rigging it? People don't go, oh my God, our elections are unfair. This is going to fix it. The people, they didn't explain what they were doing at all. That's part of the problem. Idiots.
let's see if the courts will fix this travesty of justice. Multiple states have already redrawn maps this year. Republicans say they've likely increased the majority by 3 to 5 seats in Texas. Democrats say the same in California. Both parties making smaller gains in Utah, North Carolina, and Ohio, with Democrats now holding to a 2 to 4 seat gain overall. Next up, Florida, where a proposal meant to gain Republican seats may be unveiled as soon as next week. Top Democrats are vowing to spend millions to fight back. Today, Governor Ron DeSantis said, bring it on.
Please be my guest. I will pay for you to come down to Florida.
That's right. He'll pay for you to come down. So Democrats face tough questions before the Virginia Supreme Court on Monday during oral arguments. Republicans have challenged a referendum which paved the way for the Dems to pick up as many as 4 local congressional seats. Well, not local. They're what do you mean local congressional seats? State. Jesus. Potentially leaving them with a 10-1 margin over the GOP, arguing that the Democrat-led assembly flouted procedural rules to get it on the ballot, which it did. A constitutional amendment was needed to put it to the voters, and state lawmakers have to approve a resolution in 2 consecutive legislative sessions with an election in between to do so. Well, actually, it's supposed to be 2/3 vote to do it. And they changed it without changing it the right way. Yeah. Demon Rads claim they met the requirement thanks partly to a special session last year that they contend was left open from 2024 and resumed again in the normal session of 2025. Republicans are arguing that such a special session doesn't count as 2 sessions. Additionally, the state legislature's first vote on the proposed amendment took place in October, while early voting in the off-year election was still ongoing, so there was no 2 separate sessions with an election in between as required. I mean, that's the bottom line, is they didn't follow the statute that they wrote, which actually is a violation of the Constitution anyway, because the Constitution of Virginia says it's 2/3 vote in the House and the Senate of the legislature. Not simple majority. The lower courts have been skeptical about whether Democrats complied. No, actually, they haven't been skeptical. A fucking judge said no, it was completely unconstitutional. But the Demon Rat lawyer argued that the General Assembly complied with every step the Constitution requires. Oh, he should be disbarred for lying to the Supreme Court. Circuit Court attempted to interfere with the democratic process by halting it. The challengers are now trying to overturn the results of the democratic. Right off the bat, a justice dismissed his argument about the people of Virginia deciding the referendum and underscored the irregularities of the process. The other justices who asked questions largely pursed Segelman over the tougher procedural issues and generally had easier queries for the GOP lawyers. Notably, fewer than half of the state's 7 high court justices actually asked questions. Another procedural issue raised involved the General Assembly neglecting to publish the proposed amendment 90 days in advance, then retroactively repealing that regulation. So they have all these things, and they just go, well, we can't do this. We'll just repeal it after we did it. There's lots of voters across the Commonwealth who are not totally educated on everything going on in Richmond, and they need time, contended Thomas McCarthy, the lawyer repping the Republicans. The Commonwealth needs time for the whole thing to be aired out, which Republican National Committee Chairman Joe Gruters called a blatant power grab. Yeah. So this is the current map, as you can see. It's a 6-5 Democrats to Republicans split. And this is the new map they want to draw. Look at this map. Look at these things coming Look at these things. I'm going to pull it up so everyone can see it. All right. I mean, look at how crazy this is. Look at these lines and these little things coming out into here. And look at how it comes. Oh, and they run this out this way and they run this one. Look at this. This thing comes over here and does like this and little thing here and all this. I mean, this is what you call like really stretching to screw people over. Like, you know, it's insanity. It's insanity. I mean, you don't see anything that looks like this in the Florida map, all right? You don't see anything that looks like this in the Texas map either. You don't. You don't see anything that looks like this in either one of those maps. We showed you the Florida map. They were just little circles, like here's the Democrats, here's the Democrats, here's the Democrats. Like, Democrats argue that the will of the voters shouldn't be tossed out on technicalities. Oh, yeah, technicalities like the fucking Constitution. Yeah, to them, the Constitution is just a technicality to be ignored. Yeah, and they also said that the Virginia Supreme Court shouldn't be weighing in on legislative rules. The referendum needs to be needed to temporarily allow the state legislature to redraw districts instead of the constitutionally mandated bipartisan commission that was approved in a 51-6 by 48 votes. So, yeah, so jigsaw districts is the definition of gerrymandering. Yeah, I mean, this is like, they're like, oh, well, you shouldn't, this is our legislative thing, but the Constitution is a thing. Virginia currently has 6 demon rats and 5 Republicans in the House, and the state legislature's new map would create favorable conditions for a 10-1 split. It's very rare for courts to throw out a referendum result. Well, not if it was illegally done, though. That's the thing. Like, if they didn't do it by the book, it's not legal. Virginia Supreme Court questioned Democrat-drawn redistricting plan. Attorneys defending Virginia's new Democrat-drawn district face skeptical questions. A Republican challenge to the map contends that the General Assembly violated procedural requirements by placing the amendment before voters to authorize mid-decade redistricting. If the court agrees the lawmakers broke the rules, it could invalidate the amendment and render last week's statewide vote meaningless. The Virginia court proceedings marked the latest twist. Here's the thing, too. Like, this doesn't just end with the Virginia Supreme Court. If the Virginia Supreme Court says, oh, it's okay, and ignores their own Constitution and their rules and their Constitution about how these things happen, they can appeal it to the U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court is the supreme law of the land, and they will decide it based on the Constitution of Virginia, not the Supreme Court's interpretation of the Constitution, but the U.S. Supreme Court's interpretation of their Constitution. Yeah. Eldridge Jerry created a district that someone said looked like a salamander. They're creating the word. Yeah, that's how they call it, gerrymandering. Next up is Florida, where Ron DeSantis has included congressional redistricting on the agenda for a special session. Yeah. Proponents for the Virginia map were questioned first by the Supreme Court justices. At issue was whether the new district should be invalidated because of the process used by lawmakers. Because the state's redistricting commission was established by a voter-approved constitutional amendment, lawmakers had to propose an amendment to redraw the districts. That required approval of a resolution, 2 separate legislative sessions with a state election sandwiched in between. The legislature's first vote occurred last October while early voting was underway. See, this is the problem. This is a major problem. There's like 4 or 5 different problems with it. Judicial questioning focused on whether that was too late because early voting already had begun. So far, the 2 major parties have battled to a near draw in the states that have redrawn their congressional maps for this year's midterms. Republicans think they could win up to 9 more seats under revised districts in Texas, Missouri, North Carolina, and Ohio. Democrats think they can win as many as 10 under districts in California, Utah, and Virginia. But legal challenges remain in both Virginia and Missouri. Virginia currently is represented in the U.S. House by 6 Democrats and 5 Republicans. New districts, which narrowly won voter approval last Tuesday, could give Democrats an improved chance to win 10 districts. In January, a judge in rural Tazewell County in southwestern Virginia ruled the lawmakers failed to follow their own rules for adding the redistricting amendment to a special session. Circuit Judge Jack Hurley Jr. also ruled the lawmakers failed to initially approve the amendment before the public began voting, and the state failed to publish the amendment 3 months before the election as required by law. As a result, he said the amendment is invalid and void. Yeah. So. All right. So we got some more stuff about Iran.
About making a deal? I think the Iranians are serious about getting themselves out of the mess that they're in. All the problems Iran had, they had riots a few months ago, and these were economic riots. All the riots and all the problems that Iran had before the start of this conflict are still in place, and most of them are worse. Inflation is worse. They still have a drought going on. They still have trouble making payroll. Their economy's flattened. They face crippling economic sanctions around the world. All those problems are there, and many of them are worse. And now they have half the missiles, none of the factories, and no Navy, and no Air Force. All of that's been destroyed. So they're worse off and weaker. So yeah, I think they're serious about figuring out how can they buy themselves more time. We can't let them get away with it. They're very good negotiators. They're very experienced negotiators. And we have to ensure that any deal that is made, any agreement that is made, is one that definitively prevents them from sprinting towards a nuclear weapon at any point.
If there is no deal, what comes next?
Well, again, that's the president's decision to make. I would start out by reminding everybody that the level of sanctions on Iran are extraordinary. The pressure on Iran is extraordinary, and I think more can be brought to bear. But I hope that in the aftermath of this conflict, the whole world's eyes have been opened to the threat Iran poses. Again, they want to do with the world with a nuclear weapon what they are doing now with oil. They want to hold the world hostage so they can do whatever they want. That's unacceptable. And one of the things that has to happen is the international community, quote unquote, as it likes to be called, although it never does anything, the international community needs to come together and say what's happening in Iran is a threat to global peace, a threat to global stability, not just a threat to the Gulf kingdoms, not just a threat to Israel, a threat to the world. And it has to be addressed comprehensively. I hope the rest of the world will join us in the crippling sanctions and other things that we are doing to pressure that regime into making concessions it does not want to make.
Yeah. So Rubio says purported Iranian offer on the Strait of Hormuz is not acceptable. Secretary of State says a purported offer that they said under strict conditions is not acceptable to the United States. Speaking in an interview with Fox, Rubio says Iran has a different view of the strategic waterway than the rest of the world. What they mean by opening is, yes, the straits are open as long as you coordinate with Iran, get our permission, or we'll blow you up. That's not opening the straits. That's international waterway. They cannot normalize, nor can we tolerate them trying to normalize a system in which Iranians get to decide who gets to use them. What's going on here? Secretary of State Marco Rubio says he believes Iran is serious about making a deal with the U.S. because they're serious about getting themselves out of the mess that they've gotten themselves into. Price of inflation is worse. They still have drought going on. They still have trouble making payroll. Their economy's flattened. They face crippling economic stations around the world, and those problems are there, and many of them are worse. Iran has no right to close the straits. That's right. Rubio says Iran's fractured leadership has been the biggest impediment to reaching a deal. I mean, yeah. I mean, if nobody's in charge, how do you make a deal when there's nobody in charge? Or if nobody knows who's in charge? If you got like two people fighting over who's in charge, but you've got like, say, 2 or 3 people, but everyone's worried about if they make a deal, then the other people will be able to kill them or do something to them because they'll say they're traitors or they're spies or start betraying something. So, I mean, that's the thing. The Drunken Senpai has rated the stream. I believe that means that is Off-Label Podcast. Yes, Off-Label Podcast has rated the stream. Thank you, Off-Label. Thank you so much, Off-Label Podcast, for rating the stream. It's greatly appreciated. I always like the raters. Raters are great. It's not the Strait of Iran. That's right. That's right. It's Oman and have just as much say over it. Oh, and then here, let's just this. This is a White House press briefing that happened right after the shooting. And hey, what's up? How you doing? Thanks for stopping by, buddy. Thanks for the raid. So it says Leavitt shreds the media. So White House press secretary held a presser on Monday after the attempted assassination. And then an armed man stormed the Washington Hilton. Oh, hey, Mark Massengill, what's up? Great to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for being here. Leavitt blasted the Demon Rats for refusing to fund Homeland Security. And instead, the night was hijacked by a crazy anti-Trump individual who traveled across the country to assassinate the president. Thanks. Let's see here.
Secret Service, of course,
Good afternoon, everyone. Later today, President Trump and the First Lady will welcome King Charles and Queen Camilla for a state visit here at the White House. First Lady Melania Trump has led all of the preparation for the state visit, which will honor the long-standing and special relationship between the United States and the United Kingdom. As I told many of you on Friday afternoon, I thought that would be my last time taking your questions until after my maternity leave. But given the attempted assassination of the president and, quote, top Trump administration officials, as the depraved shooter noted in his manifesto at the White House Correspondents Association dinner on Saturday evening, I felt it was prudent to be here today to answer your questions and inform the American people about how the administration is responding to yet another attempt on President Trump's life. Saturday was supposed to be a joyful evening, celebrating free speech and the First Amendment with all of you, members of the press. Instead, the night was hijacked by a crazed anti-Trump individual who traveled across the country to assassinate the president and as many administration officials as possible. This is the third major assassination attempt against President Trump in 2 years. No other president in history has faced such repeated, serious attempts on his life. First and foremost, the president, the first lady, and everyone in this White House are extraordinarily grateful to the brave law enforcement professionals who sprang into action to apprehend the would-be assassin and keep all of us safe. The president would especially like to express his gratitude to the men and women of the United States Secret Service who acted with the utmost professionalism, courage, and sense of duty. This includes the heroic agent who took a bullet to the chest. Thankfully, he was saved by his bulletproof vest. Minutes after returning here to the White House to the Oval Office, despite fighting Secret Service to try to stay and keep the dinner going on Saturday, ahead of addressing you here in the briefing room, President Trump was intent on speaking to this brave agent to ensure he was okay. And the agent assured the president that he was. As you know, I was seated next to President Trump and the First Lady when the shots were fired before Secret Service swiftly moved us to safety backstage. The president's calm in the face of chaos, while yet another individual was trying to take his life, was really remarkable to witness, and it's something I will never forget. President Trump
Hey,
is
what's up? How you
fearless
doing, Jonathan?
because he loves this country, and he is willing to put his own life on the line to deliver on the promises that he made to the American public who elected him here.
I did not see the shotgun either when he's running through. I have not seen the shotgun either when he's running through. So that's why I don't understand. Maybe it was a they're saying it was a Mossberg Maverick 88. Maybe it had a pistol grip on it and no stock. I don't know. But I couldn't see it either. But the video footage is shit. Garbage. No good. It's very strange. It is.
Into the highest office in the land. And while we are blessed to have a fearless president, we should not live in a country where such constant fear of political violence permeates our society every single day. We can and we should have fierce disagreement in this country. As you all know, we disagree often, myself in this role and all of you in the news media, but those disagreements must remain peaceful. Debating, peaceful protesting, and voting are how we need to settle disagreements.
Thank you, Beyond the Noise. Beyond the Noise on Rumble has rated the stream. Thank you so much. It was so very good of you. Yes, thank you. They said something about building. He could have had the barrel off. They did say something about building at Sanglant. I did see that they said he assembled it, so maybe it was, and he looked lighter skinned than the one on the floor. I don't know, man. It's very, the word I'm looking for is, it's very suspicious. The worst thing you can do is give a cynic like is hope. I just enjoyed the extra hockey. I wasn't expecting this year. Okay, well. What's up, Republic Sentinel? How you doing? Thanks for stopping by. Please like and subscribe.
Not bullets. Nobody in recent years has faced more bullets and more violence than President Trump. This political violence stems from a systemic demonization of him and his supporters by commentators, yes, by elected members of the Democrat Party, and even some in the media.
Thank you, Living Yankee Free, for reading the stream.
And constant and violent rhetoric directed at President Trump, day after day after day, for 11 years, has helped to legitimize this violence and bring us to this dark moment. Those who constantly falsely label and slander the president as a fascist, as a threat to democracy, and compare him to Hitler to score political points are fueling this kind of violence. The left-wing cult of hatred against the president and all of those who support him and work for him has gotten multiple people hurt and killed, and it almost did so again this weekend. When you read the manifesto of this shooter, ask yourselves, how different is the rhetoric from this almost assassin than what you read on social media and hear in various forums every single day? The answer, if you're being honest with yourself, is that there is no difference at all. Much of the manifesto of the would-be assassin is indistinguishable from the words that we hear daily from so many. For example, as the First Lady of the United States pointed out this morning, just 2 days prior to the shooting, ABC's late-night host Jimmy Kimmel disgustingly called First Lady Melania Trump an expectant widow. Who in their right minds says a wife would be glowing over the potential murder of her beloved husband? And having experienced what I did with the First Lady on Saturday night, I can tell you that she was anything but that. This kind of rhetoric about the president, the First Lady, and his supporters is completely deranged, and it's unbelievable that the American people are consuming it night after night after night. As President Trump said on Saturday night at this podium, we as Americans must recommit ourselves to resolving our differences peacefully and uniting around the shared values that make our country great. The deranged lies and smears against the president, his family, his supporters have led crazy people to believe crazy things, and they are inspired to commit violence because of those words. It has to stop. And one more point. Saturday night served as yet another reminder of how important it is to fund the Department of Homeland Security. It is shameful that the United States Congress has kept this vital agency defunded for 73 days. The longest shutdown of a federal agency in U.S. history. The Secret Service is a vital component of DHS. It has been directly impacted by this reckless political gamesmanship. Everyone in this room who was there on Saturday night witnessed the heroes of Secret Service and federal law enforcement jump into action in the face of grave danger and uncertainty. Agents put their own lives in harm's way to protect the president, the First Lady, the Vice President, and members of the cabinet. One agent can be seen in video footage literally jumping onto the stage, not knowing where the attacker was or where the bullets were coming from at that point, to place his body in front of the President of the United States. These men and women are heroes. They perform their duties daily, and they have children and families too. And they do it despite the political turmoil surrounding their agency. Make no mistake, this defunding of DHS should be a national scandal. If Republicans defunded DHS and we saw in another attempted assassination on a Democrat president, I would hope that the media coverage would be relentless and unforgiving, and I hope that it continues to be now. With the World Cup, America 250, the 2028 Olympics, and a presidential election all ahead, the Democrats' obstruction is placing an enormous and totally pointless burden on the Secret Service that can get more people killed.
That's right, get more people killed. Here's a picture of the gun that Gun of Zig shared. It's right here. Open the image, a new tab. Here we go. So that's the gun. There's a sling. Is that, I can't tell if that's a stock or if that's just a sling. That's just a sling, so it's just a pistol grip with a shotgun, a pump shotgun. And it's not like, I mean, that barrel could have been shorter. I mean, it could have been a lot shorter with a pistol grip on it. So it could have been shorter. In my opinion, it could have been shorter. So, but that length of tube means it had to have held like at least, I'd say it held 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd say it held like 7. Big Red One Guy has rated the stream. Well, thank you so much, Big Red One Guy. Awesome, man. So many raids on Rumble. This is fantastic. I've never had so many raids on a Rumble before. Thank you all so much. I hope everybody that's raiding would consider possibly, becoming a member or, subscribing, following. Man, that dude would go and use an old classic. It was a nice shotgun. Yeah. Extended mag. Yeah, it's got it's got a full length tube, 7 plus for 2 3/4 inch, 7 plus 1. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, 7 plus 1. And then I saw this. This is very interesting. So this is debunking the data that claims to show the most political violence comes from the right. There's a lot of funky data out there being compiled by nakedly partisan organizations. 26-inch barrel. Yeah, it should have been an 18-inch barrel. Could have been an 18-inch barrel, but then you would have you only had like 5, I think, or like 5 plus 1. Or so here's the data showing whatever this is, debunking the data. So the killing of Charlie Kirk is part of a grim pattern of political violence in America. You got the right, you got the left. So look at so like all this stuff, other left, Islamists. So they like to say the right is doing all this stuff from the economists. The problem is that data these outlets have been relying on is deeply flawed. One major source is the Prosecution Project, the initiative of the University of Cincinnati, which analyzes felony criminal cases involving political violence and sorts them by ideology. The data set doesn't include either the previous 2 assassination attempts on President Trump's life, as far as I can tell. Nor does it include the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Which might explain the absence of Thomas Crook, who died at Butler. But what explains the absence of Trump's other would-be assassin, Ryan Ruth, or Tyler Robinson, who killed Charlie Kirk? I couldn't find Elias Rodriguez on the list either, who shot and killed 2 people outside the Jewish Museum. It's pretty easy to say that violence is coming from overwhelming the right if you overwhelmingly edit out political violence from the left. The editing goes deep. During the summer of 2020, the George Floyd riots were in full swing. Political violence claimed dozens of lives and caused $2 billion in damage. Yet, the data set from the Prosecution Project lists a grand total of 5 incidents of left-wing in that summer, 2 of them eco-animal focused. Jim DeMann to be rated tonight. Yeah. Cole Thomas Allen used a Mossberg Maverick 12-gauge pump-action shotgun, yes. 18 3/4 was fitted with variable choke. Here's a question. Political violence. What the hell ever happened with the Mandalay Bay mass shooting? Where are those families demanding answer? Yeah, where are they? Well, it says someone was gifted a membership by Yankee Free. So, Yankee Free is now a monthly supporter. Thank you so much. And Yankee Free gifted 5 Jim Tells You memberships. Thank you. Wow, that's so much. Thank you so much. So I believe that means we are now $35 away, I believe. Or no, $40 away. I'm sorry, $40 away from adding an additional hour to the show. Thank you so much. Thank you. Roy Rat was gifted a membership, and it says Yankee Free gifted. Yankee Free became a monthly supporter and gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Yankee Free. Thank you. It's greatly appreciated. Upon Horizon was gifted a membership by Yankee Free. Thank you so much. Yeah, eco-terrorists are dangerous. Yeah, they are. They're dangerous. compare this to a list compiled by Forbes of 19 people who lost their lives during the first 14 days of the Floyd riots. And why don't you see these people merit a mention in the prosecution project? They were killed during politically motivated explosion of violence and rioting. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Surely we can agree this omission massively skews the data. Maybe you think that people murdered during political riots shouldn't count as victims of political violence, but what about a meth dealer who happens to belong to the Aryan Brotherhood? Should the meth dealing count as political violence? The prosecution project thinks so. Among the right-wing examples it makes sure to include, you'll find Aryan Brotherhood meth gang that merited 10 entries for drug-related crimes. I'm no fan of the Aryan Brotherhood, but can you honestly say this is an example of right-wing political violence? Like, yeah. Why did they say that white supremacists are right wing? I mean, the KKK founded by Democrats. I mean, all that shit's all Democrats. All these things are all Democrats. You know, the guy that, what's his name? Spencer. David Duke. They're all Democrats. Yes, Jim works almost as hard as Bella on these streams. I do. So how is this good? So, in what world does producing meth constitute crimes that seek a social, political change or communicate to outside audiences? You got guns out of my stream early so I can continue drinking. Okay. You also find people on the list who did things like vandalize an LGBTQ crosswalk, though not people who vandalized entire neighborhoods in 2020 in the name of racial justice. Is vandalism political violence? I guess only if you're a conservative. If you didn't know, the Aryan Brotherhood is not affiliated with the Republican Party, and they probably most definitely vote Democrat. Yeah, that's right. You may not agree with blocking access to an abortion clinic, but a tally of political violence that counts those instances as not Charlie Kirk's assassination is deeply flawed. So this is why these charts that they say, like, oh my God, it's because they just don't count the stuff the left does. They just go, oh no, that's not, no. They just don't do it. Yeah. The data set grants a total of 6 cases of left-wing violence for the first year of Trump's second term. What? I mean, remember when that guy ran that kid over and killed him for being a Trump supporter? Not on this list. Not on this list. Remember all the people attacked going to Trump rallies? Not on these lists. Andy No getting hit in the head with milkshakes? Not on the list. Ever seen Watermelon Man with Godfrey Cambridge? No, what's that? Spencer supported Biden? Yes, he did. Yeah, the Southern Poverty Law Center, the same organization was just indicted for manufacturing racist violence, who was chronicling this stuff. Needless to say, if you're relying on the media widely skewed favored to left for your data set, it's not data, it's propaganda. Moreover, even acknowledging the left-wing political violence is on the rise, CSIS admitted it went out of its way to absolve the left of even more violence. It excluded pro-Palestinian terrorism from the left, reclassifying it as ethno-nationalist incidents rather than left-wing ones. Yes, that's what they do. They don't qualify like any types of like Islamists. They don't say it's the left. They say it's a lot of it. They say it's conservative because they say, well, those are conservative religious people doing it. It's about a white businessman that suddenly turns black overnight, a comedy. Oh. There were 3 high-profile terrorist attacks in the United States in the first half of 2025 motivated by the conflict in Israel and Palestine. These include the April arson attack on the Pennsylvania governor's residence, a May shooting that killed 2 Israeli embassy staff in Washington, and a June firebombing of the pro-Israel Solidarity Walk in Boulder that injured 15 demonstrators. In this data set, these attacks are classified as ethno-nationalist incidents rather than left-wing ones. Did you see that Mandami supporter, the socialist socialite, attacking conservative white women for their inferior clothing? You can't make this shit up. Yeah, they are the bourgeoisie. They are the bourgeoisie. Trying to reignite empires that were dissolved in the wake of World War I. Yeah? Godfrey wears whiteface makeup in the beginning. Is that Godfrey the comedian? The guy that just goes by Godfrey? Is that him? Because that guy's really racist. I'd watch that. We're very much operating. Roy Rat says Roy Rat, right? ROI Rat. Return on investment rat. And it's very heavily under the remnants of the Roman Empire. Back during the 70s. Oh, this was back during the 70s. Okay, I thought this was this guy comedian. Maybe. Hey, Lynn Williams, what's up? Thanks to see you. This is just a naked attempt to absolve the left of a signature issue because that issue inspires violence and people telling up crimes wants the left to win. The report also excluded the massive anti-Tesla terrorism. Yeah, all the Tesla stuff. They said, no, that don't count. Oh, Godfrey Cambridge, a black actor played in Cotton Comes to Harlem. Okay. I thought it was there's a comedian named Godfrey. I mean, I thought it was some. Brandy Cruz was assaulted and sprayed with wasp pillar in the eyes at the anti-Trantifa rally. Yeah, but they don't count any of that as left-wing violence. That's the thing. They just don't count any of the left-wing violence as violence. They count stuff that isn't right-wing at all as right-wing. Finally, political demonstrations against immigration and customs enforcement also resulted in many violent encounters, namely between law enforcement and demonstrators. However, most of these incidents did not reach the level of violence that satisfied the study's definition of terrorism, and they were not intended to cause a broad psychological effect. Like what? You don't think Godfrey the comedian's racist? I've heard him say some quite racist things to some people. Nonetheless, they contributed to the perception of a growing left-wing violence. It's far from an exhaustive list the way the left cooks the books when it comes to its tabulations, where political violence is coming from. Others have done a great job of showing limitations of the Cato's research. Yeah, Cato sucks. Cato sucks as much as Cato Kalin does. Yep, Roy like Roy. I screw it up all the time, though. ROI, riot, rot. It's all the same to me. Okay. Yes, Hassan Piker openly called for violence against right-wingers and Twitch and YouTube do nothing. Yeah. Gilbert Godfrey is dead. No, not Gilbert Godfrey. There's a black comedian named Godfrey. That's all his name is, Godfrey. And I've heard him on several shows, like, really, like, I was like, oh my God, this guy's like, hates white people. Was he the Affleck duck? Yeah, that was Gilbert Godfrey, not him. I'm not talking about Gilbert Godfrey. Gilbert Godfrey was a genius and a gem. Antifa is very much a European organization with a very long history. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. All right. So Greg, and then this, I saw this. I wanted to share it. I don't know if it's going to stay in the show. It might have to get cut out because I don't know if this will get copyrighted by Fox. But Greg Gutfeld does a fantastic job talking about this.
Terrorism that you say, well, now we'll never know. What could it possibly be?
Well, they're running away from the story because they know they got their fingerprints all over it. I disagree with Harold with all due respect. A call for unity is not for us. We don't need it.
He called for it, though.
No, I'm just saying that it's not for me to hear. It's for your side. We don't need it because it's only a one-way thing. You mentioned some examples like the Pelosi thing, which is a mental illness thing. The Wisconsin thing, we still aren't sure what the hell happened there. The Whitmer thing was a plot. Who created the plot? That would take an entire special to go under. I disagree with Jesse. This guy did hear voices. They were Tim Waltz's, they were Ted Lieu's, they were Brandon Johnson's, they were CNN's, they were The View, they were MS.
Yes. Gilbert Godfrey was also the parrot in Aladdin. Godfrey was the podcast with the Lion King song joke. Okay. I'm trying to think. Is that the one you're talking about? The one with all the politicians on the heads, or you're talking about the guy who claimed the Lion King was like that the song meant something else? Mostly done during the 1980s when the neo-Nazi skinhead movement, particularly in North Idaho, became targeted. Yeah. We had all the Geraldo Rivera show debacle bullshit, all the media attention. Yeah.
Now, okay. I think this is a helpful assassination attempt because it is the first one to show that you can be radicalized by liberal smugness. If you read his posts and if you read his manifesto,
sorry, you had to grab another drink.
Like every smarmy, sanctimonious, self-satisfied pronouncement from an asshole like Brandon Johnson, like Waltz, like Lieu, the people who think they know better than you. This guy was not a crank. He was not deranged. Don't buy into that narrative because it lets these pompous asses off. He didn't do this because, as Jesse said, he didn't have voices in his head. He was just following orders. He was operating on a filter that said Trump was Hitler, and therefore it would be immoral if you didn't take Hitler.
I mean, what did you think? All these people, they talk about all this stuff all the time, talk about killing baby Hitler. They talk about doing all this stuff. Then they start saying Trump is Hitler. I mean, they don't, you know, they don't call you a Nazi so they can kill, or they don't kill you because you're a Nazi. They call you a Nazi so that they can kill you or something like that or whatever. I mean, it's crazy. Did I see that Marvel DC comic writer? Yeah, expressing disappointment. Yeah, oh yeah, I saw it. Now, if they don't do something about it, then that's an issue. That's a major problem for them, and I don't think they should get let go by it. You know, we got to stay on them. Like, this stuff cannot continue. It has to. This stuff has to be called out. It has to. I mean, I'm not a fan of cancel culture, but you know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and we've been taking it up the keister for way too long. Yeah, lots of punker teens who pretended to be Nazi skinheads for a few years, the vast majority leaving it behind. Yeah. There was a whole thing with the whole, you know, metal, like, you know, thrash metal movement with skinheads and stuff. And, you know, I think it also had a lot to do in the early 80s, the late 70s and early 80s, because there was a lot of, yeah, they caught this dude alive. There was a lot of stuff in the late 70s and early 80s, a lot of forced busing, forced integration that they did that caused a lot of problems. And so in these groups, like, and it was probably the government that was behind it all, like MK Ultra and other stuff and different, you know, there was an operation called PatCon, if I'm not mistaken. Hey, Absent Minded, what's up? Great to see you tonight.
Out. So his filter is actually making him logical. He's the sanest one in the group because he took them at their word. When MS now says Trump is Hitler, he's the sensible one. He went out and went after Hitler. Now, if you told him he was wrong, would he listen? No, because you know this guy. You've run into this guy. They think they're right. This is the big point. The biggest problem, and I don't include you in this, Harold, the problem with the left is the lack of humility. This is what has always bothered people on the right. We believe in a higher power. We could be wrong. But for for the left, they can have ideas which turn into belief, which turn into an ideology, and there's no breaks to it, i.e. a higher power that might say, you know what? You could be wrong. This is a guy that when you read his stuff, he is right on everything. When you read his posts, when you read his, and then if something disappoints him, it's everybody's fault. This is exactly the same kind of person you run into at BLM, at Antifa, at any protest. Your liberal friend who thinks the world is out to get them, and yet they sit at home and they do nothing and they blame Trump. This event exposes that. It also exposes the myopic egoism of the media, who in the run-up to the dinner said, you know what, it's really about a threat against the press. And who brought on the threat? Well, it's this orange demon, Trump. But it turns out the guy who's getting shot at isn't the press. It's the orange demon that you have turned into a Hitlerian figure. He's the one facing the actual threat, when all he's trying to do is what's best for the country. You may disagree with it, but you are the guys that created the rhetoric. So I think that this was a helpful assassination attempt because, A, nobody got hurt. I'm not going to go with the conventional thing. Thank God, thank God, thank God. You can't write this off as a deranged person, and that is the lesson. You can learn how rhetoric turns into action, how there are security lapses in a hotel. How the hell was he not shot? Did he just trip? I mean, the Hilton, Paris Hilton is harder to get into than the DC Hilton. and I think the biggest thing here, and it kind of goes back to COVID in a way. It's how scientific minds, this guy was an engineer, can do evil because it's unfettered to a higher power. He was making the decisions. He had control, just like Fauci, just like everybody that...
Fauci, one of the most evilest people that ever lived, Anthony Fauci. Wow. That guy, I mean, if people just look into Fauci, do you know that his first job when he worked for the government, his first assignment when he went to the Institute of Health was working on the Tuskegee project, the Tuskegee experiments? That was what his first job was. That's what he first did. Lying to people, poisoning people, giving them stuff, abusing people, mistreating people. That's the guy. Yeah. Then all the stuff with the AIDS and HIV stuff that he did.
Tells you, you are wrong, I know better. That was the whole point of his screed. When you read it, didn't sound crazy to me. It sounded like a guy saying, dude, I'm smarter than you are. It's a Unabomber.
But I'll tell you this, there have been attempts on presidents.
There's been attempts on presidents, yes. There's been attempts on presidents. Yes, there has. All right. And then we have this. Oh, wait. No, hold on. Yep, so here. All right. And the Federalist says that the media once again blamed Trump for nearly being assassinated. Can you believe it? Easier and safer for who? Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, here's an important mental exercise. If the shooter at the White House Correspondents Association dinner on Saturday had intended to kill journalists instead of the president, what would the media be talking about nonstop for the next 100 years? We can't just ignore them. It doesn't work. Yeah, I know. We can't ignore them. Everyone knows the answer, but 31-year-old Cole Allen, the suspect would-be assassin, explicitly wrote in his widely reported manifesto that he wasn't targeting guests, but instead U.S. representatives, specifically administration officials. He actually said he would kill any of the guests, though, because they were there to see this guy, so they were complicit. Just like that's exactly what Destiny said, remember, about Charlie Kirk, that they should be killing other people that go to these things. That way people stop going. He said that when Corey Contemporary was killed for seeing Trump. That's right. Squeaky was in so long when she got out her name was Creaky. Yeah, but Squeaky actually went to jail for trying to kill Gerald Ford, right? She tried to kill Gerald Ford when he was president. He called himself a friendly neighborhood assassin. Yeah, this guy's a weird one. Yeah, he prioritized from highest to lowest ranking. And for some reason, he took Kash Patel off the list. It'll certainly be the case once we get reports of his motives. What exactly did he do leading up to the shooting? What his friends and family have to say? We all know this most certainly is a left-winger inspired by the demon rat leadership and the corporate press to take out a political opposition. Destiny said that from his cuck chair. Yep, 34 years for attempted assassination. Yeah. Wild and panic gunfire and wild and loose gunfire in a panic crowd's a rough situation. Yeah, well, see, it shouldn't have been that, though. These guys should have been able to put, like all their bullets right in center mass on this guy. These guys are supposed to be professionals. If they can't hit this guy from the distance he was with those handguns, they shouldn't be Secret Service agents. That's just my opinion. The minor detail will surely get to take a backseat to speculation whether Trump is in fact to blame for the third attempt. A day after the shooting, in which thankfully nobody died and only one Secret Service agent was mildly injured, CBS's Norah O'Donnell sat with the main target to ask why he thought the gunman referred to him as a pedophile, a rapist, and a traitor. Yeah. O'Donnell, he said he wrote this. So let's see what Trump said.
The so-called manifesto is a stunning thing to read, Mr. President. He appears to reference a motive in it. He writes this, quote, administration officials, they are targets. And he also wrote this, I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would, because you're horrible people, horrible people. Yeah, he did write that. I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody.
Do you think he was referring to you?
Excuse me. I'm not a pedophile. You read that crap from some sick person.
See, you think he was referring to you? Holy fuck, what is wrong with these people? Like, oh my God, they're going to try to twist and say, see, Trump knows that he's these things. He knows it. He's guilty. He has a guilty conscience. That's the shit they'll say.
I got associated with all stuff that has nothing to do with me. I was totally exonerated. Your friends on the other side of the plate are the ones that were involved with, let's say, Epstein or other things. But I said to myself, I'll do this interview and they'll probably, I read the manifesto, he's a sick person, but you should be ashamed of yourself reading that because I'm not any.
It's more than 3 attempts over 2 years. That's the thing, Brooklyn. Just in February, a guy with a shotgun tried to break into Mar-a-Lago. Here's the thing, too. All right. And then just like, I don't know, a couple months ago, some guy tried to break into the White House with a shotgun. Remember? Tried to get through security with a shotgun. All 3 of these people with the shotguns, all right? This guy, the guy that went to Mar-a-Lago with the shotgun, and the guy that went to the White House with the shotgun, they all had the same shotgun, the Maverick 88 shotgun. Which is not like a, I mean, if it was like a Remington 870 or something, I'd be like, well, that's just a very common shotgun. Or even if it was a Mossberg 590, I would say, well, that's a very super common shotgun. Shotgun guy was last year. Yeah, there was a shotgun guy that tried to go in the White House. Then just in February, a shotgun guy went and attacked Mar-a-Lago, tried to break in, and he got. Yeah, is the rumored security lapses that have happened in all 3 of these attempts? Yeah. Was it or not the agent he shot returned fire? I don't know if that's put out. Do we know if they raided or even interrogated his sister? I know that they ended up having to kick the door down on his house where he lived in California because they went there and they refused to open the door, so they had to get a warrant. Trump held up very well in this interview while Hillary Clinton walked out of the deposition for no reason. Yeah, twice is a coincidence, 3 is a pattern. Yeah, 3 times with the same shotgun tells me that somebody has a list somewhere telling people to buy this shotgun because it is a very cheap shotgun. But it's like there are cheaper shotguns. You could get Turkish shotguns that are a lot cheaper. But like if it was a 590, I would say, well, that's, like I think a Mossberg 590 or a Remington 870 are like the 2 most popular shotguns, but not a Maverick 88. Yeah, Trump wasn't even at Mar-a-Lago for that one. The fools are dumb. Yeah, well, they didn't know that. That's the thing. The guy didn't know Trump wasn't there. Yeah, it's 3 attempts, including one near fatal, is an extremely serious problem. Well, here's the thing that I'm starting to question, and seriously question, is if the only reason we haven't lost more presidents is just because people haven't actually tried or came up with a good plan to do it. Like, is all this security just theater? Is it just the same as, think of the TSA and the theater of the TSA at the airports. Like, it's just theater. People sneak stuff past them all the time. Every time they test, they're constantly failing. Take your shoes off. They're always trying to catch the last thing that fooled them. Is it the same with the Secret Service? Is it just that because people are basically, they go, well, if I try this, I'm committing suicide, basically. But are they? Because now we've seen 2 people that tried that both didn't get, deleted. Ruth didn't get deleted. This guy didn't get deleted. So maybe it's not. As the Grateful Dead said, if you got a warrant, I guess you're going to come in.
Of those things.
Mr. President,
and
these
I was
are
never,
the gunman's words.
Excuse me. You shouldn't be reading that on 60 Minutes. You're a disgrace. But go ahead. Let's finish the interview.
You're a disgrace. Yeah. Trump reasonably took offense. Of course he did. Yeah, John Wilkes Booth actually had a plan that was fairly well executed. Yeah, and I firmly believe there was other people in the government that were involved with John Wilkes Booth. People that knew about it. There was a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't add up. All of our politicians are showing their asses to the people. That's what's changed. Yeah. It's half theater. There's definitely a need, but it's also a dog and pony show. No, I'm not saying it's not needed. I'm saying it's needed. But that the security stuff is like theater just to make the normal person go like, oh, it's impossible to do this. It's impossible. Like I remember that line, from The Godfather 2 when, who was it talking to Michael Corleone? It was the one, not Al Neri, but the other guy, Rocco, talking to him, and they're like, oh, you can't get to the guy. He's well protected than the president. And then Rocco goes, anybody can be gotten to. You just have to, have somebody willing to, sacrifice themselves to do it. I can't wait to see him after the election when he can give 0 Fs about elections. Yeah. TMZ did an interview today with Hinckley in prison. I thought Hinckley got out of prison. I thought Hinckley was released because isn't he doing music now and stuff like that? I thought Hinckley was out. The next day, a CNN content creator, Manu Raju, whose formal title is chief congressional correspondent, tissed Trump's for having erupted at O'Donnell. His political peer, Eli Stokel, said it was incredibly selective for Trump to single out Democrats for their extensive record of violent inciting rhetoric, for having suggested immediately after shooting that the planned White House ballroom would have been better security. Who in their right mind doesn't think that the White House ballroom wouldn't have been better? Yeah, CNN's Jeffrey Zeleny claimed the president was spurring wild conspiracy theories about the shooting being staged. What? I thought he was released to a halfway house. Yeah, I thought he was released. That's what I'm saying. He's doing music and stuff now, from what I understand. And like, I think he has a YouTube channel that you can go watch his music. President set the thermostat for the country. Oh, so that's what, when Biden was in front of the Red saying how the right was the biggest danger and white supremacy and white people are the greatest danger and all this stuff, is like, yeah. He was found not guilty by reason of insanity and granted full unconditional release in 2022. That's what I thought. Only a president can set the tone. It's on the president. The president has to change the tone. I did not see any self-reflection. Like, yeah, Trump is supposed to say, like, what? So they're saying that the reason they're trying to kill him is because they want him to do something different. So it's terrorism. They're admitting that the Democrats are engaged in fucking terrorism. They want the policies to change, so they're trying to kill people to get policies changed. Hinckley is the kind of guy I think we could pardon. His reasoning for his attempt had basically zero to do with political motivations. He was legit crazy at the time. Well, here's the thing about Hinckley. You think it has no political motivations, but did you know that Hinckley's brother had dinner with one of George H.W. Bush's sons the night before the shooting? Did you know that the Hinckley family was very closely tied and aligned with the Bush family? Just saying. It's odd. It's very odd. It's very odd. You know, I mean, it's not like the Bushes have anything to do with assassinations or anything like that ever before. I mean, it's not like George H.W. Bush was the head of the covert operations of the CIA during the time that another president named JFK was assassinated, maybe by the CIA. Just saying. Just saying. Maybe. Possibly. Could be. Imagine if the shooter written down he was coming after Chuck Todd and the president reacted by suggesting Chuck Todd change his tone. Yeah. We'd see rioting from the Washington news bureaus. The violence continues. These people keep it going. Hinckley's zero threat to anyone because ain't nobody wants to bang Jodie Foster anymore. Oof. Oof. That's rough. That's rough. That's rough. Bush was the CIA leader during late Nixon Ford. Yeah, well, Bush was in the CIA though when I thought Nixon, like, I thought he got out after Nixon. Like, he was involved. In my opinion, Poppy Bush was involved in all the stuff, part of Watergate stuff, all that stuff. He was in the CIA, working for the CIA when Kennedy was killed. You know, he had a lot more power because right before Kennedy was killed, if you remember, Kennedy fired Dulles and another guy. And the other guy, I can't remember his name, but the other guy that he fired was the mayor of Dallas at the time where the shooting happened. Just big coincidence. Big coincidence. Big coincidences. Levitt blames left-wing culture of hatred after the shooting. Okay, and we got this statement. The FBI put out a statement today because they ended up charging this guy with assassination.
This one hits a little differently. We were all there. Many of you were there. Many of you watching were there as well. The president was there. The vice president was there. The cabinet was there. And what you saw described by the general and the U.S. attorney is absolutely true. The president spoke on late Saturday evening with the message of unity and a backing of law enforcement, and we have followed through on that message of unity and the effectuation of law enforcement across this country. This FBI is grateful to the United States Secret Service, the Department of Homeland Security, and our interagency partners, including the Metropolitan Police Department, for swiftly jumping into action. All of us on there put us in a unique position, but all of us also acted uniquely. The Washington field office jumped into action immediately, sending a mobile command center to the scene, along with...
Wow, think of that. He says, my bad. Bush was only the CIA leader under Ford. And Gerald Ford was on the Warren Commission. Wow. Gerald Ford was on the Warren Commission. And when Nixon started asking questions about JFK, all of a sudden they smoked out Spiro Agnew, right? And so he had to get a new vice president. And so he had to get his good friend, Gerald Ford. And then all of a sudden Watergate happened. They got rid of Nixon, and Gerald Ford could come in and wipe everything under the rug of what happened with JFK. And nobody could ask any more questions about it. The kid who had the gas can at Mar-a-Lago, I still believe he went there to self-immolate and protest the Epstein files, not assassinate Trump. Trump's movements are not hard to find. Well, he had a shotgun, and a Maverick 88 shotgun at that.
With our evidence response technicians who showed up in speedy fashion to make sure we could collect the evidence that the prosecutors and the department needed to make this announcement today. Also on scene, you were told about the brave heroics of the United States Secret Service and other members of law enforcement. And that should be celebrated by every single American. They did exactly what they were trained to do. They stopped a massive attack from becoming even worse. They stood in the way, they safeguarded America, and they should be nothing but applauded for their bravery and their dedication to their mission and their selfless sacrifice to this country. The FBI, along with standing up mobile command units, evidence tech response team, and Washington SWAT on scene, also established our NC3, our National Crisis Coordination Center, almost immediately. And almost immediately in parallel, we stood up our command center at the Washington field office under ADIC Darren Cox's leadership. Throughout the evening, we immediately began working with our Department of Justice partners to find the evidence necessary, to effectuate the legal process necessary, and enter into the suspect's room at the Washington Hilton successfully and lawfully and obtain the relevant evidence for exploitation. That was on scene. Back at the headquarters division and the Washington field office, we were coordinating a national scale investigation that literally spanned from coast to coast. As you heard, FBI agents along with the interagency were immediately dispatched to the suspect's home in California, where we conducted interviews that provided critical information about this horrific attack. We also dispatched investigators and agents to New London, Connecticut, where we conducted further interviews that provided necessary information that you will find in this criminal complaint, as the United States Attorney has just laid out. While officers were working diligently through the night to conduct those interviews, we were also conducting interviews of witnesses on scene. Those interviews are ongoing. As you know, there was almost 2,000 people there. We are sifting through and prioritizing who to talk to, and we will get to each and every one of you with any bit of relevant information. Again, we ask everybody who has any relevant information, like I did on Saturday night with the president, 1-800-CALL-FBI. Any piece of information is information we want to have and must receive. On top of the on-scene response by this FBI, the headquarters response, and the Washington field office response, the FBI flipped on its enterprise-wide response to this critical incident. What does that mean? We dispatched fixed-wing assets across the country so that we could immediately transport evidence that was acquired in California and Connecticut and sent it to our laboratories in Quantico for analysis. We collected the shell casings on scene, including the firearms and the weapons that the judge talked about. Those were also sent to our Quantico laboratories for immediate analysis. America should be proud that this FBI acted with the urgency that was needed for the moment that we had to answer. The president rightly said that we will act in a unified fashion, and it's because of President Trump's leadership and backing of the blue, every single person in law enforcement that I stood with into late evening hours on Saturday, early evening hours on Sunday, and all day yesterday and today are thrilled to wear the badge and defend this country. Each and every one of them deserves our thanks, and I encourage everyone listening to go out there and shake the hand of a federal agent or police officer and say thank you for doing their job. Thank you for training endlessly to make sure they meet the mission requirements. And for me, as the director of the FBI, I want to thank our headquarters components for working diligently with our prosecutors and make sure that the American public knows it's not just federal agents that do this work. It's our intelligence analysts, our support staff, our laboratories, our fixed-wing assets, our critical incident response groups, our hostage rescue teams. Agents sprung into action, got out of bed, and haven't slept since. These prosecutors haven't slept since, and I promise you they're not going to be sleeping. They are going to give you every piece of evidence. As the journal said, we will make public, when appropriate, to protect the integrity of this investigation, to make sure that due process is served, and we will meet the highest standards of the Constitution as we always do. And that is when we will continue to disclose information. I know the public has a yearning for information, but just remind yourself of how much information you have already received, how transparent this administration has been. In less than 48 hours, you know almost every single thing we know. And what we have not told you yet, we will tell you in short order. So once again, from me, as director of the FBI, I want to thank the interagency. I want to thank the United States Secret Service and their director, Mark Wayne Mullen, the Secretary of Homeland Security, the Attorney General of the United States, Attorney Pirro, and Ada Cox for springing into action on a night that should have been celebrating free speech, but we will be doing it again shortly, as the president said, and we look forward to seeing you all there.
Did he just say he ate a Cox? Is that what he said? I thought that's what he said. That was weird sounding to me. But then here he got another thing. He's going to talk about the reduction in crime in the U.S.
But I think President Trump set the proper tone despite all the rhetoric that's been thrown his way at the press room just later that evening where I joined him, where he said he called for unity. President Trump has assembled the greatest law enforcement team in the history of America, as evidenced by the monumental reduction in crime. And I have full confidence that they will continue to deliver for him. And that's the message we're carrying to the American people. This FBI acted expeditiously, just like the Secret Service, just like the Department of Homeland Security Metropolitan Police, without regard for their life, showed up on scene, settled the scene, captured the evidence, and also launched a nationwide investigatory process stretching from California to New London, Connecticut.
Wow. Okay. So this guy was charged with attempted assassination. So Kimmel's joke was before the correspondence dinner. Yeah, it was the day before. It was recorded the day before. And it was played like right before, it aired right before. So, you know, or it was supposed to be played afterwards. I don't know if they played it or not, but somehow it got out. I'm not sure. So he was charged with, so here's Janine Pirro now.
On the other side
of government, the ability of a free press and public officials to come together in celebration and not fear. The act was stopped because of the courage and, that horrible act was stopped because of the courage and professionalism of law enforcement. The officers who responded without hesitation and did their jobs as they were trained to do. Secret Service agents promptly tackled and detained the suspect, Cole Thomas Allen. The president and all the protectees and participants at the dinner were safe. One brave officer was injured and is receiving care and has been released from the hospital. I want to make this clear. This man was a floor above the ballroom with hundreds of federal agents between him and the President of the United States. The Department of Justice approaches incidents like this with urgency and clarity of purpose. Violence has no place in civic life. It cannot and will not be used to disrupt democratic institutions or intimidate those who serve them, and it certainly cannot continue to be used against the President of the United States. We are investigating this matter fully. We will apply the law fairly, and we will ensure that accountability is swift and certain. But we also should recognize what did not happen. Law enforcement did not fail. They did exactly what they are trained to do.
Well, I mean, they failed to hit the target. I mean, they did fail to hit the target. They fired shots that did not connect with the guy. So somebody got failed a little bit, right? I mean, failed a little bit. I mean, they failed to search the hotel and find this guy ahead of time to find the guns he hid and stuff like that. I mean, they failed with that. I mean, they should have known that this crazy leftist was there. I mean, they should have, every person who was staying in a hotel should have had a deep dive background check on him. They should have known the posting this guy was doing online, talking about all the shit that he went to No Kings rallies. I mean, they did fail because some Code Pink ladies got inside with signs and stuff like that, were inside protesting, then had to be arrested, taken out. I mean, let's call a spade here. Come on.
This was not an accident. It was the result, as we know now, of preparation. But the men and women who protected us that night were trained, professional, and had an enduring commitment to the rule of law. Today, the Department of Justice filed 3 federal charges in United States District Court against Cole Thomas Allen. The first count is attempted assassination of the President of the United States. This count is punishable by up to life in prison. The second count is interstate transportation of a firearm to commit a felony. This is punishable by up to 10 years in prison. And the third count is discharge of a firearm during a crime of violence, which
There should have been. This guy had red flags. If somebody would have looked, if they would have looked into him, if they would have done a background check or anything on all the people that's staying in the hotel, they'd have been like, wait, why did this guy drive cross country, take a train from cross country, just come here and stay here right before this thing? Wait a minute. What is he posting online? Yeah, site security, it's been a problem over and over again. Yeah. Cali. Well, that's what I'm saying. He came from California to Chicago and then to D.C. like right before, the day before. You know, he must have booked it like, do we know the name he booked the room under? I would think it was his own name. I think, you know. What did his family know? That's the question. What did people around him know? He must have talked to somebody.
which is punishable by a mandatory minimum term of imprisonment of 10 years, a maximum of life, and the 10 years is consecutive to any other sentence imposed. Just to go through very quickly the timeline, which many of you in this room already know, the defendant, Allen, made a hotel reservation at the Washington Hilton for April 24th through April 26th. On April 21st of this year, he traveled by train from Los Angeles to Chicago and then from Chicago to Washington, D.C.
That in and of itself should have set off alarm bells with everybody, because that was right after Trump announced he was going. This guy made this hotel reservation. Like, that's crazy.
See, on April 24th, he arrived in Washington, D.C. at approximately 1 o'clock in the afternoon and checked into the Washington Hilton. Approximately at 8:40 on the night of April 25th, Allen approached a security checkpoint on the terrace level of the hotel, which is again a floor above where the dinner was taking place. He ran through the magnetometer holding a long gun. As he did so,
Do I think anyone with different views should not have been allowed? No, I'm not saying that, but they can do if it's somebody that was posting shit or somebody was posting stuff, like any crazy stuff like this guy was posting about getting rid of Trump and Trump's, this stuff. They should have sat on him. He should have been told to stay in his room. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Like, they do this stuff. The black pill person, he wants him to receive no bail and be indicted by a D.C. grand jury, no bill, and not be indicted. What a psyop, huh? Well, I don't think it's a psyop. So you think that they got a leftist school teacher guy, that Kamala Harris voter, and they convinced him to throw his life away for this? Like they can't just correlate all the data at random to .gov, can't even invade your bank account. No, but they can, they can. I mean, the Secret Service can do a deep dive into stuff. They can pull all the stuff. It's all public. You just pull up his public postings on Blue Sky and stuff like that. It's super easy.
U.S. Secret Service personnel assigned to the checkpoint heard a loud gunshot. One Secret Service officer was shot in the chest, but was wearing a ballistic vest that worked. This heroic officer who was hit fired 5 times at Allen, who was not shot, but fell to the ground and was promptly arrested. I want to thank everybody who worked tirelessly on Saturday, Sunday, and continuing today. This includes members of the FBI, and Director Patel is going to address that in a minute. It includes members of the Metropolitan Police Department who were immediately on the scene, the chief, the mayor, to make sure that law enforcement was available to do their jobs and had all the tools they needed to do so. And lastly, the United States Attorney's Office here in D.C., our U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro and her team, a prosecutor stayed up all night long, didn't sleep all day yesterday, making sure that we got what we needed from all over the country. It included search warrants.
Okay, why are they making saying they stayed up all night and they haven't slept and all this stuff? I mean, what are you doing that? That's the second time someone said that. Like, are you on cocaine? How are you staying up? So does that mean that they might have screwed something up because they were overtired and rushed? Think about the human resources, the real ones needed to maintain that high level of surveillance. You don't have to maintain that high level of surveillance, but every person that checked in, you've got their driver's license and everything. You've got all their information, credit card information. It's a computer system. You know, I mean, think about it. I mean, they could have used Grok to track them down or any of these other things that they have. They've got access to higher level AI, LLMs than we do. They wouldn't even need, first you track everybody down, and if people set off red flags, then you dig into them deeper. You go talk to them. You have somebody go into the room, a cleaning lady that's actually a Secret Service agent, just go in there and look around. There's things you could do. They're all on cocaine, 100%. Yeah.
Warrants in California, search warrants here in D.C., multiple interviews that have been conducted already of witnesses and of family members of the charged individual, and continue to work hard today. This investigation is ongoing. It's not complete. A lot of the information that the media is hearing through leaks or sources, some of it is true, some of it is not true, and at the right time, you will hear information from us as appropriate. I'd like to ask our U.S. Attorney, Jeanine Pirro, to say a few words, and then followed by Director Patel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney General. Cole Allen's journey of accountability in the criminal justice system starts today. Todd Blanche just indicated to you the charges. Those charges are only 3 charges that are in the complaint that has been presented in federal district court about an hour ago. There will be additional charges as this investigation continues to unfold. But make no mistake, this was an attempted assassination of the President of the United States, with the defendant making clear what his intent was. And that intent was to bring down as many of the high-ranking cabinet officials as he could. This is the kind of situation that we cannot tolerate. And as the Attorney General has just indicated, it could have been so much worse, but for the reality that we had the Secret Service, as well as the Metropolitan Police Department and the FBI. Now, the facts make it very clear what this intent was. You may recall that it was on March 2nd that the president indicated that he would be attending this public event at the Hilton. And on April 6th, that's when Cole Allen first made a hotel reservation at the Washington Hilton for 3 nights, the 24th, the 25th, and the 26th. It was on April 21st that he traveled all the way from the West Coast, from his home near L.A. He gets to Chicago on April 23rd, and has been indicated he arrives in D.C. on the 24th, and he checks into the hotel at about 3 p.m. He stays overnight. He is very much aware that the president and the first lady entered the ballroom at 8 p.m. And it was at 8:40 that he made a decision to rush the ballroom. And thank goodness, law enforcement, the Secret Service, was able to prevent him from getting into that ballroom. He was not injured other than some kind of scrape on his knee. Now, as indicated, these are the weapons that the defendant had on his person. You can see that's a 12-gauge pump-action Mossberg shotgun. It's a .38 semi-automatic. He had at least 3 knives and all kinds of paraphernalia. So any suggestion that he wasn't there to do harm.
So he had a .38 Super? He had a .38 Super, huh? It's an odd choice.
Is absurd. We will prove when he purchased these guns. They were purchased in California. Why is that relevant? It is relevant because he crossed interstate lines with those firearms, and those are the firearms that he used on the night of the 25th, or attempted to use at the very least. Now, the manifesto also makes clear about his expected rules of engagement. You know, you can look at it and read it, and it may seem kind of la-la-la, but
this guy supposedly trained all the time at some place in some gun store. They were trying to go after the gun store, talking shit. I was like, just let the gun store didn't know what he's doing. It doesn't really matter. Not for California. What's I'm saying? A .38 Super is common for California. Is that one of the guns on their list? I know they have a list of guns and stuff like that. I went to a Trump rally and a guard told me I couldn't bring a lighter in my pocket inside. How do they know I had it? They could see in my pockets. Wow. The video doesn't show a shotgun. I didn't see a shotgun in the video either.
At the end, make no mistake, he says, I am targeting the administration officials. They are my targets, and I'm prioritizing from the top down, the highest ranking from the lowest. And I will not hesitate to get involved in any kind of encounter with anyone who blocks me from the president. Now, finally, let me say one thing. Within days of the president nominating me to be the United States Attorney for the District of Columbia, I was at the scene of a double homicide where one Elias Rodriguez crossed state lines from Chicago with a firearm to commit a felony in the district. He's now indicted for the murder of two individuals.
Cross state lines. Stop it with the cross state lines.
Milgram here in Washington. Not long after that, another individual, Ramanella Lockenwall, crossed state lines, again with a firearm, with intent to commit a felony here in Washington. He traveled from the state of Washington. He is now indicted with the murder of Sarah Beckstrom, a National Guardsman, and the attempted murder of National Guard Andrew Wolf. Today, we have Cole Allen, another individual, charged with crossing state lines coming from California with a firearm with the intent to commit a felony here in the district. Let this be a message to anyone who thinks that Washington, D.C. is the place to act out political violence. And if you are willing to do so with a firearm and cross state lines, we will find you, we will track your steps from the inception of your plan, and we will prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law.
Wow. They'll prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. All right. We got this story right here. Trump endorses the idea of changing ICE to NICE. Kind of saw this joke last night, but now they're actually publishing a story about it. In a True Social post, he shared a screenshot of someone who had written, I want Trump to change ICE to NICE, the National Immigration Customs Enforcement. So the media has to say NICE agents every day. He should also be charged with attempted assassination of each cabinet member too, since he stated he was there for all of them from top to bottom. Yeah, he should be there for all of them. Everybody. He should be charged with, he said that he would shoot anybody that was there if they got in his way. He should be charged with attempted murder on the Secret Service agent, too, that he shot at. Now, I've heard reports that he shot more than once, but then again, he only hit one Secret Service agent. I've heard the video sounds. I thought I only heard the sound of one shotgun blast, and then I heard pistol fire, but I don't know, maybe it was just my sound. The official White House response shared a screenshot of Trump's post. Let me see if I can get this. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, see, great idea. Do it. That's President Trump saying. I want Trump to change the name from ICE to NICE. I like it, but also change it to the Federal Justice Bureau. That way you have to say FJB. FJB. Oh, man. Federal Justice Bureau. Yeah. 10 years with no reduction for firing a gun. Just look at his face. Clearly you don't want to see a person who was trained. No, he trained himself. He did training. He wasn't he was never in the military or anything like that, but he was... Supposedly, he was going once or twice a week for over a year to the gun range, training and stuff. So, all right. Well, everybody, unfortunately, we did not hit the goal tonight. We've gone over 3 hours, so you actually did get an extra hour for free tonight. So I want to thank everybody who was here. Please remind everybody to hit the like button and please subscribe if you haven't already. Joe just started streaming a few minutes ago, so I'm going to send everybody over to Joe. And I hope to see you all again tomorrow night. Tomorrow's show will be either 7 or 8 p.m. Not 100% sure. I'm going to see what Robert Gavay is doing. If he's streaming at his normal time, then I'll come in at 7 right behind him. If he's not streaming, then it'll probably be 8 o'clock again or something like that. I think George Washington and Wyatt Earp both had holes in their clothing after a couple of fights. So thanks everybody for being here. Please remember to come on back tomorrow for Jim to tell you the news.